Mm-hmm. Alrighty, I think we're live tonight. Hopefully we're live right now. No intro. Although I do have a cool backdrop that I forgot to, see? I think it's a cool backdrop. This one here, on the other hand, is the backdrop for my buddy Petey, the robot, aka the PDP 180 robot, who is named after the PDP 80. Wait, no, PDP 8. Pretty much any program data processor since the advent of PDP mini computers from DEC, the Digital Equipment Corporation, which was known in the 1960s and 70s, well renowned back then, because that was sort of like their thing. They were the ones who created the mini computer. Before the mini computer, all you had was mainframes. I don't know how we jumped into this topic, but it kind of works. I mean, I think it's moderately interesting. Also, in other news, I have, I think I know what crashed the computer last week. Real quick, David Glenn, let me know if I mute my sound. I'm going to start speaking. Ready? Did you hear me yelling or coughing? Hey, where's my other glasses? Whatever. My other glasses are on top of the Xbox, Nintendo Wii. I'm not going to get them right now. And at some point, I'm going to have to take this off, but... Oh, good. The shaving cream stain is gone. Oh, thank goodness. Whew. I can take this off if I want. Oh, but I like the blinking lights. What's up, Amber? It's good to see you, and it's good to see when deep calls deep. Well, I don't know how, what Deep's phone number is, but I would love to see Deep call Deep. I'm trolling, I'm sorry. But it's good to see you both, David Glenn and Amber. Am I allowed to call you Amber? I mean, we knew your name before you got a YouTube channel, but let me know if we should stop, using your real name when referring to you. But it is wonderful to see you tonight. So anyway, last week I had a great time, and by last week I mean on Monday I had a great time. If I could just find the video here. I had the opportunity to appear on LCX's YouTube channel, as I mentioned last week, and we talked about all manner of topics. I must have gotten like 3 hours of sleep that night. So in a way it helped me out because I got up earlier than I would normally get up, and I got a good night's sleep, so that was kind of cool. But yeah, we covered a lot of ground, and David Glenn tuned in, Slimden tuned in, so it was nice to see you guys. And believe it or not, we missed a few questions because maybe I spoke a lot. And that was cool, I mean, that's sort of the purpose of being on someone's show is to speak. But we are going to cover the question or questions, I think it was one question, that was missed during the last time, so that should be fun. Absolutely, Amber, I will do exactly that. Certainly after Thanksgiving, which, is tomorrow anyway. Whew, this thing is hot. Now, I do have my window open so that we can, cool the computer down, but I think I know what crashed the computer last week, so we're going to take a look. Ooh, these LEDs. We're going to leave the LEDs on for now, in case we use them again. Oh, it is cold in here. That silver suit is like wearing a Mylar blanket, even though it's not made of Mylar at all. It feels like Mylar. So anyway, this is wild, what went wrong. And I think I'm going to switch off the background in a moment because it is a bit disorienting, I guess. Yeah, so what happened was it was the blue shaving cream. You know the edge where it's like it looks like blue gel, and then what you do is you put it on your face, and then basically upon contact with air, and as you're spreading it around, it turns white like regular shaving cream. So I got it on my shirt, and I was worried the color blue was gonna stain me or something. And I didn't really want to go change my shirt because I don't know how many I have right now before doing laundry, and I want to be ready for Thanksgiving tomorrow, right? You got to dress a little bit nice. I mean, actually, I don't have to dress nice. It's a t-shirt. So I can wear a t-shirt of any kind underneath a button-down shirt, right? It is a little bit distracting. Yeah, it's kind of giving me a headache. I think it's kind of giving me a headache when I look up at my right screen. So let's get that off screen right now because it is exceptional. Well, not exceptionally distracting, but it is moderately distracting. And I got something funny to show you guys. So I know why my computer, because actually this is the interesting thing. So when I joined LCX last week, well, Monday, it was actually not last week. my computer crashed like 3 times. And like I think I was good for the first hour or two, and then after that it was more chronic. But I isolated the cores finally. See, look, we took apart my DSLR. Oh, it's not a DSLR, it's an SLR. DSLRs would be the digital version of an SLR. Oh, and I think we can even share desktop audio if we want. So I'm wearing my bone conduction headphones today, and I set my default audio device. Did I? Oh, don't tell me Windows overrode it. All right, let's fix that right now. So anyway, what I want to show you guys is what was the root cause of the issue. Before I do that, I need to just say set as default device. Okay, good. Can you still hear me? Let's see if the audio works. Oh, the audio is muted. I feel like I sit too close to my microphone sometimes. But see, you gotta see it's a single lens, and it's got a mirror that reflexes, hence the name single lens reflex. And then you got the light meter built in. And we talked. This is one of the things we talked about. Had a good time, and talked about just how this works. Kind of just jumped all over the place. You know how I roll. And maybe if I had a little more sleep, I would have been a little more focused. The biggest issue was just the computer crashing. Honestly, like I could do without sleep. I mean, of course I like sleeping, but like once my computer rebooted, all the crap I had opened the night before was no longer open. So I had like a bunch of astrophotography, and I had things in the Photoshop. I had browser tabs, and then the other thing that I discovered. So what happened was I tried to like until I did a little cleanup. I wanted to clean up my bookmarks in Firefox. So until I did, I was I sharing the wrong screen? I was sharing the wrong screen just now. So you didn't see any of that, did you? I'll show you again. So we can wind it up. And what I just did was I locked the mirror up. And the reason I locked the mirror was so that you can see the back where the shutter would go. We're going to fast forward a little bit. And like, they make nice cameras too. And they had a camera, they have cameras that have cloth shutters inside. So the cloth shutters are quieter, right? Whereas this one definitely makes more noise. This is a titanium foil shutter. David Glenn, do you know where to buy titanium foil? So you take a picture of a mountain lion. I want to play with hiding behind a tree, and you don't want to startle the mountain lion. This might not be the right camera, but that was fast. It makes a hell of oil. So yeah, that's actually oil, and that's titanium foil. Let's see what it does. In a fraction of a second, it clears out of the way, and now you can see that's where the lens would shoot through. So, but you get the idea. And we did a little space stuff. Maybe we'll open up Space Engine a little bit. You could still hear. Wait. When I mute the sound, did you hear me counting 1, 2, 3? Because if you heard me counting 1, 2, 3, then now you're not terribly late. Jose. Yeah, I'm sorry. You're not late, Jose. I started late anyway. Okay, let me just turn off this backdrop before I forget. But yeah, you're not late. You're good. Okay. Oh, okay. I know what I did. Okay, so that's the weather. We don't have the weather. Let's delete the weather for now. Yeah, we did a weather report on Floral Show. Let's pull that one up in a little while. I want to just review that one. But yeah, I dressed up as PD of the robot. And we did a little meteorology today. We just kind of randomized it. There were no active storms. Oh, yeah, I found a backdrop item. Oh, thank goodness. Really? Okay, I think I know why. See, what happens is when you're in Restream, you go to audio. Yeah, I know what I did wrong. I selected my sound source. I was supposed to select... Oh, crap. That means I'm coughing into the microphone at the beginning of the stream, doesn't it? Anyway... I was supposed to pick the virtual audio cable up here. Where is it? Oh, it is here. Now, if I mute my audio, you shouldn't hear me. Oops, I'm sorry about that. Tell me. 12, 13, 14, 15, 19, 20, 21, 22. Good, we're back. All right, yeah, I got to remember to do that. But it's great to see you, Jose, and thanks for dropping in. And thank you, Amber, for confirming the audio. And let's see if we can find Floral from under a rock. He is from under a rock. You ever see those videos like from the feminist girls who would be like, I hate when guys ask me where you from. And it's like, I can understand, well, like, if guys are always like, where you from? But, like, I mean, it's a good icebreaker, you know? Guys trying to meet a girl, he's like, oh, hey, where you from? And I guess some of them are, like, from some exotic place, so they'd be like, you know, maybe you can't tell if the girl is, you know, this type of Spanish or that type of Spanish. So you ask them, where you from? And it's just kind of funny, but it's like, okay, so well, what do we talk about, you know? But anyway, let's see here. Oh, yeah. Where's James? Is James here? When James gets here, let me know, or I better remember to check. I want James to see something. I might play the video if he doesn't show up. I'll play the video if he doesn't show up, but if he shows up after I play the video, I want James to see it, because I shared it with him and I didn't know it was a members only one. So, yeah, we had that. But before I answer the question, so, yeah, during the stream of LCX, did I drop you guys a link? I'll drop you a link. We're going to hit the share button. And I'll put that there. So you may bookmark it or add it to a playlist. But David Glenn was there, so he was there. So he's seen it. But, yeah, you know, like, I got the one question I wasn't asked earlier. Oh, cool. Yeah, I dropped the video. Cool. Thanks, Wade. So, anyway, where were we? Let's just put that over there for now.
Hello there.
Pause that for now.
We reward you with the rune of healing, so you may continue your kind ways throughout the kingdom. Good luck on your journeys, and may peace find you always.
I'm curious, so I'm going to play it back.
The healing rune.
Oh, it's like a rune. Yeah,
We
rune.
reward you with the rune of healing,
Is this
so you may
RuneScape?
continue your kind ways
I never
throughout
played
the
RuneScape.
kingdom.
Is this it?
Good
Is how
luck
that
on your
works?
journeys, and may peace find you always. The healing rune.
Oh, she plays
We
it on
reward you with the rune
What's
of
up,
healing.
some person? Good to see you. I was thinking about you the other day. I was like, oh, I wonder how some person's doing. You know, I was like literally thinking that. I was like saying that to myself while talking to myself. Not that I talk to myself. Never. But if I was talking to myself, that's what I would say to myself is, how is some person? Hope they're doing somewhat well. But get us corny. But yeah, I had fun. I hung out with Bob and Floral, as you can see, in my robot form. And I realized in the middle of the stream, I forgot to put my background on. Am I skipping? Is my frame rate low?
Optical senses were misaligned, so I looked at Floral.
Why is my frame rate
instead
so
of Bob,
low? I did not. Is my
but I
frame
do
rate low
see
now?
you,
It shouldn't be.
Bob.
No.
Thank you very much.
My
I
frame
see
rate
you
is
too.
perfect.
Isn't it
But the
great
frame
when
rate
you
looks
feel
awful
seen?
over there. I mean, everyone else looks pretty good. I look awful there. I mean, I look
see
fine,
you,
like,
you see
you know,
me,
visually.
you see-
I hope the frame.
Um,
Oh, I think I know what
now,
happened. I think it self-corrected. No, I don't know if it did.
Congratulations.
That's interesting. Oh, that looks a little smoother. I need some movement.
I mean, that
Yeah,
is
that
not
looks
correct.
good. Okay,
They
good. I'm
provide
not
you with
skipping anymore. So that was a
integrated
temporary
circuit
lapse.
chips.
Okay, good.
did you just say chocolate-covered Pringles?
Oh,
Japan has a broad
That's a cool
culinary
idea. You know what I
taste when it
did,
comes to
some
snacks,
person?
Floral.
When I started streaming as the
Chocolate,
robot,
yes.
I used pictures
Sounds
of
weird.
IBM
They also
mainframe
have
computers, you know, like
matcha.
just ancient computers. So, for example, like IBM 370 mainframe, and they had the 360, the 370. It's a bit like the Xbox 360, IBM 360. You know, and you can see, like, you know, the reason I did it was because if I'm a robot, right? The idea is that the robot can, like, you know, point to the picture in the background and go, oh, these are my relatives. This is my great-grandfather, the IBM 370 mainframe. And this is actually a graphical, I guess, CGI 3D modeling. It's actually accurate, but I don't think it's real. No. And I'm surprised they don't have a picture of an old data center. I guess the idea is they want to get a picture that's accurate to the T, you know, with no weird distortion or anything like that. But for example, down here, we got like a punch card. I believe it's a punch card reader. And I think what you do is you put the punch cards in stacks and it reads them into the computer. Then it can store them on disk packs, which are these things here, which I believe were probably 40 megabytes, maybe 20 megabytes, no more than 100 megabytes. And I think in that era, in the earlier days, it would have been more like 40 megabytes. And you can see you have, in this case, it loaded into a drawer, and then you have these things on top, which I believe are either storage containers or they might be. Oh no, I know what this is. I think I know what this is. I'm confused, but some disk packs you would load on the top, so you put them on top of a thing that looks like a washing machine, and then you'd press a button to like actually, you know, activate the read-write heads and, you know, have it work. And these were like the hard drives of their day. They were kind of slow. but I mean, they were faster than anything else available. I mean, you just imagine trying to read or write large quantities of data to punch cards. That would take a while. Or the tape, which is not in the picture here, but they have those, reel-to-reel tape drives from the olden days. And, like, you see them in, like, just like when some person mentioned, like, having a backdrop with a Tesla coil. Sometimes when you see, like, an old Superman cartoon or something like that. In fact, I think they had a character who's, like, a version of Nikola Tesla in a Superman cartoon of the 50s or so. And you would see these types of, storage devices here. And once again, I think these would be, like, 40 or 100 megabytes, depending on the era, depending on the, decade. But by the 70s, yeah, I think easily 40 megabytes. And they were very common. But the problem is, of course, you have to read and write to them sequentially. You can't just randomly pluck a file out of the middle of the tape without dumping the contents of the tape to a disk, at least temporarily. Or maybe you could, like, dump part of the tape to a disk, but you definitely have to, like, have it read from the correct part of the tape. So it's a little weird like that. Tape drives today still kind of suck. I mean, they're good for backups, I'm told, but a tape drive is like $2,000. A modern, like, 40 terabyte or whatever the heck. I think they're on like 12 or 20 terabyte tape drives now. And it's actually more cost effective to just buy hard drives. Like, that's what I've been doing. Like, I looked into buying a tape drive and it was just like, it's more cost effective to just buy a bunch of these and use them in a removable manner. So that's why I have hot swap bays on my computers. So I can just, like, do backups and dump large quantities of data to disks. So if I have, like, my OBS recordings or my astrophotography, I'll have 2 identical removable disks. So even though they're not automatically mirrored, it's just peace of mind. So I'll copy the same data to 2 drives so that if I drop one while taking it out of the computer, or if just one day gets hit with a static discharge, we don't lose any data. My father worked for IBM back then. Used to bring home used punch cards for my sister and I to draw on. Oh, that's kind of cool. International Business Machines is long for IBM. Didn't Charles Babbage invent the punch card? Yes, he did, for weaving looms, and I believe, I remember on the show, what was it? David Burke, or whatever his name is, that British show called Connections. And on Connections, David Burke, or whatever his name is, he did an episode about that. And I mean, basically, Connections was a weird show. Look it up sometime on YouTube. It's like a PBS type show. And essentially, the idea would be like, the guy would connect one invention to another invention. So it'd be like, oh, this invention came out before this one, but then it led to this other invention. And then before you knew it, you had laundry. And it's like, what? Laundry? And then next thing you know, he's talking about how they made Tang. And then somehow he goes from orange juice concentrate to napalm, which actually is a thing, right? You guys know how napalm and orange juice stuff is related. Oh, goodness gracious. Oh, I got a couple of cool show and tells for today. That's another thing that I usually enjoy doing, right? Little show and tell. So let's do a quick show and tell. What up, awesome one? I'm just cleaning the thermal compound off of this CPU before I show it to you guys because I don't want to be embarrassed. Gobble, gobble. I see the link. I'll get to it in a little while. Okay, there we go. Just had to clean my drawing tablet. It felt a little gritty today. I had some dust on it. I cleaned my desk a little bit. Just a little bit. It's not done being cleaned yet, but I cleaned my desk because I took my other VCR here, right? I brought my other VCR to my room because I want to either see if I can cannibalize parts, or if I decide to take apart this VCR, it's kind of holding up my monitor. Okay, whatever. We'll have to... Whatever. I'll have to deal with the little, like, folded fabric behind me. All right, let's roll. Yeah, Connections Rule. David Glenn knows what I'm talking about. James Burke. Thank you. So, yeah, if you're interested in that, yeah, check it out sometime. But let's just roll along real quick. So, yeah, then you got a telephone. and a teletype. Now, I don't know if the telephone's actually linked to the same phone line. I highly doubt it. But typically the telex or teletype or ASR would be physically connected to a phone line or a serial port or a null modem cable, because you need a modem to go from a serial port to a phone line. It, converts the signals from digital to modulated signals for a phone line. But when you're connecting to a computer, you don't need a modem because you're going directly digital to digital. You're going from a serial port into a serial port. So that's where you get the name null modem cable, I believe, if I had to guess. I actually don't know, but it seems to kind of make sense. All right, now this is cool. This one here, there's an earlier picture, but just this absurdly large control panel. And I don't know if these are like late models, but I wouldn't be surprised if they had different versions. Okay, so that's the same one. So essentially, this is like almost shaped like a letter L. And you'd see a lot of these setups where a computer would be shaped like a letter T or a letter L. And then sometimes these cabinets that look like little, large cabinets, one of them would contain nothing but RAM. So like this one's probably the CPU cabinet. And yeah, you can directly interface with the actual with the processor. It wouldn't be a microprocessor because a microprocessor is something that came, after all of this crap. This would just be the CPU or processor. And that's why sometimes old people, no offense, will call a desktop computer a CPU. Like when I was in a computer class, when I used to be a smart-ass teen, I used to call the teacher out for it sometimes. And I had some teachers who were nasty about it. I had one teacher, she was really cool. And she just said, like, I know it's not the CPU, but, just for all intents and purposes, I'm just calling it that just so it's easier for people to understand. She kind of explained it politely. So instead of being like all like, instead of getting all like harumph, she was just cool. And in her case, what she did was this teacher would call the desktop, enclosure the hard drive. And that was just so the kids could differentiate from saving data to a floppy and saving data to the internal hard drive. So she kind of just pointed to the whole box, like the hard drive, it goes into here. And that was cool. I was like, okay, and I respect her explanation. I respect the fact that she took the time to explain it instead of just getting all like harumph. So that was kind of cool. What's up, Lady Mist? Oh, thanks for the pizza and pancakes. Yes, I did feed the turtles today. This week, I'm not going to skip feeding them at all because it's Thanksgiving week. They're very resilient, by the way. But we're not going to skip feeding them this week because it's Thanksgiving. You can't. If anything, we're going to give them more food. In fact, I ordered new pellets. I'm going to give them some bugs, the stuff they love. Oh, I think they like it. So anyway, we got a Pentium 2 processor in my hand we'll look at in a little while. But I guess we could go and roll with the questions from Monday. So yeah, let's go and do that. Let me just find my browser tab. Oh yeah, this is great. We're going to play this real quick. I got a real treat for you guys. You're going to love this. Oh, and by the way, I know why the computer crashed. I forgot to tell you guys. So you're going to love, I don't know if you're going to love this, but maybe some of you might be interested. By the way, Anime Night 1992 is streaming right now. Oh yeah, Anime Night's on a 15-hour gaming stream. Good. So when we're over, please rate him. I don't care if you guys stay. I mean, maybe I care a little bit. But no, jokes aside, like if anyone is still hanging around when this show concludes, I'm going to go for about an hour from the time we started. Yeah, it would mean a lot. Rate him, say hi. I don't know if it's for charity or if it's just a 15-hour gaming stream, but either way, man is a trooper, so we should give him props, and I think I'll play him on my TV when I am done streaming here. But anyway, that is weird. How the hell did that happen? Uh-oh.
Hello there. This is the meat.
That makes no sense. Okay, so check this out here. Okay, this is my right monitor. This is running the Windows Task Manager. I hate that routers are now called modems. They're not actually called modems, but everyone calls them modems, including me. Like my friend corrected me. My friend William in the chat who comes up sometimes, he corrected me. And it's like, I didn't want to be like, oh, I know that. But it's like, I know that. But it's like, I don't know, man. Like, some fights aren't worth, having. Like, it's like I'm not going to tell an old person it's not a modem. I mean, I'm glad my friend reminded me it's not a modem. I certainly do. But to like old people, I'm not going to correct them. I'm just going to be like, sure, whatever, call it a modem. Fine. Have no time for this shit, But it's true. They are not modems. Sometimes they are modem and routers, but if you're just using Verizon Fios, that's not technically even a modem, right? You're going from fiber optic to coax or fiber optic to Cat RJ45. So it's like, yeah, that's not a modem. You are absolutely right. And why is this guy in the corner? What are you doing here? Oh yeah, I remember. I was showing that to Irate Specialist. We got a better avatar, but I have it off for now because of the issue I was telling you guys about. So let me just turn off my fighter pilot real quick, and I will explain. I remember what we didn't talk about. There we go. Okay, good. So anyway, oh, he's still there. Scram. All right. As you know, I have like 4 monitors. You know, drawing tablet on the bottom, and then I have these other monitors. Now, the topmost monitor is hooked up to a good GPU, a powerful GPU, an RTX 2060. Thank you, David, for the link. So the RTX 2060 is only connected to one monitor, or only one monitor is connected to this GPU. And the reason for that is my top rightmost monitor is whatchamacallit, a high refresh rate, high frame rate monitor. So it kind of just makes sense that that's going to be my, you know, preferred gaming monitor, unless the game doesn't really, you know, benefit from that capability. Especially if I'm playing a game at 120 frames per second, that's the monitor where it's happening on. And so since something like that is going to be more taxing on resource, I mean, you're doubling the frame rate, that is going to push the GPU even harder. I figured it made sense to take all of my, you know, my second, third, and fourth monitor and move them over to a different GPU. Now, the other GPU is an NVIDIA Quadro. And so, yeah, the bottom 3 monitors are connected to that. It has 4 display ports on the back of the GPU. Now, this is only a single slot GPU, which means that its heatsink and fan only occupies a single slot. See, a lot of graphics cards, let's get a picture. Quadro P2000 and MSI RTX 2060, because this is going to be relevant. Okay, that's a pretty good picture. Okay, so for example, like, I just want a picture. I don't really care if the about the product info, but I just want a picture. I guess we'll go to Newegg and see if they got a nice picture of the card. Yeah, so this is basically my GPU, but here's the, what the fuck? Pardon my language. Oh, there it is. I had a manager at Best Buy who called it Green Friday because he was afraid of getting in trouble for racism. He's like, oh yeah, we gotta get ready for Green Friday. It's like, you're not gonna get in trouble for calling it Black Friday, I don't think. But that guy was a little paranoid because people are always on his balls about shit. So I kind of understand. I'm trying to find a good picture that shows us all of the angles. But okay, that's not. Oh, there we go. See, that wasn't on the freaking website. Did they give me a large version at least? Not really. That sucks. So are there more pictures? Are there more pictures? Okay, wait. Is that a picture? No. This is not helpful. All right, we're going to find another picture. I'm sorry, guys. Okay, that's actually pretty good. Okay, we're going to go with that picture. Let's go to eBay. Okay, good. So, yeah, you got, like, you know, modern GPUs, they have a large, you know, heat sink and fan on it. So underneath that plastic shroud where the fans are, there's a heat sink, you know, just like a radiator. And the printed circuit board on the bottom, that's the GPU. I mean, that's this, you know, graphics board. And then somewhere on that printed circuit board is the actual GPU. So that's the top. Now let's look at the back. The back, as you can see, has the 4 display ports and this cool looking vent that looks like it was robbed from a transformer. And this is, you know, basically just because, you know, as these fans are pushing air down on the heatsink, that air needs to go somewhere. So some of that air is allowed to escape through the aft end of the computer. So it's like an exhaust port. But right off the bat, you can see a red flag here. So it's not a huge red flag, but once you install it, you'll get the red flag. So obviously, this back plate occupies 2 expansion slots. You can see the little toe at the bottom is occupying the little toe at the bottom 2 expansion slots. So far, so good, right? So the way this works is the graphics card goes into 1 expansion slot on your motherboard, but it blocks the neighboring slot. So a lot of modern motherboards automatically disable the second slot when you put a graphics card in the first one. And so, you know, you don't lose out on a slot. Yeah, I'm sorry. I had to just do something in my desk drawer. You don't lose a slot per se because PCI Express is a little bit weird. All of the slots sort of share bandwidth. So if you put a powerful card into one slot, you can only put fewer powerful cards into the remaining slots. But that being besides the point, it's understandable that the heatsink, the radiator, the fan is going to block 2 slots. That is totally understood. The problem is that although it may not be quite evident here, it might be more evident over here. What you might notice is that this part here actually takes up a little more space. So in other words, the heatsink is this bigger thing. You see it under the plastic. That occupies 2 slots right off the bat. Normally, everything, the heatsink and the plastic bit would occupy the second slot. In this case, in this situation, the plastic and the fan shroud, it blocks a third slot. Huge pain in the ass. So I had to use a riser cable down there to connect another peripheral. But wait a second, this has nothing to do with anything. Except that, yeah, this does kick off a lot of heat in its own right. I guess that's the point. Now let's look at the NVIDIA Quadro. The NVIDIA Quadro is this baby right over here. And you can see how it's like very sleek looking, right? There's different versions, but I have the P2000. So we're going to click on a P2000. And you can just see right there, it's clearly a single slot graphics card. The copper radiator or heatsink is exposed over here. So the way this works is the fan blows on the card, and some of that hot air is going to get directed down this channel. And then there's even holes in the back plate. Not huge holes, but there are some tiny holes back there in order to help allow some heat to escape. It's barely enough, but it's there. So my theory is if you go back to here, okay, I'm going to take OBS and I'm going to move it to one of the bottom monitors. And while I do that, I want you to pay attention to the GPU graph right over here. Okay, look at that. It went up to 18%. It was practically nothing, and now it's 18%. Now watch when I take Chrome and I put it on the bottom monitor too. Boom, up to 64%. And then if I open up the VTuber app and I keep it on one of my auxiliary monitors on the Quadro, then this gets to like 99%. Now, I don't think just saturating the GPU is what's causing the problem. But the problem is that I think the problem was thermal, meaning heat. So we got a temperature, readout here. It says 65 degrees Celsius. And obviously, if you're running this at high load, it's going to use up more electricity. It has a 75 watt cap, but apparently even at 75 watts, yeah, it can dump out a bit of heat. And so that's my current working theory. And how I know this is because, and let's get this window back to the top monitor before it's too late. I'll explain why. Anytime I have like 2 or more things like these 2 apps, especially StreamYard and Restream, they seem to cause the GPU utilization to go up a lot. When I have, normally I should have no problem doing that, and I do have a solution for that, but because, and there we go, look, the graph went down again. So basically, yeah, like, because I wasn't aware of that, I wasn't mitigating it. Now I'm mitigating the issue by making sure I put that crap on my topmost monitor, because I don't really need OBS to be on a bottom screen. It's convenient, but in OBS, you have a feature where you can right-click over here and say Windowed Projector Preview, and see, it gives you a preview. So now, when I put it down here, I see what you're seeing in that little box that I'm moving around. I see it on my bottom monitor, but now we're going to go to my bottom monitor, and boom, now we see the same thing down here. So, it's like, if I need to get an at-a-glance view, I can, shuffle things around, and I can see what's going on over here. So it's not a big deal, right? But if you're not aware of the issue, and you put this crap on your other screens, and then it racks up your, GPU utilization, and then your temperature creeps up to 70 degrees Celsius, you start to get perilously close to the thermal design limit. So I'm guessing it's heat. I'm reasonably confident it's heat. I'm reasonably confident that once I rectify this thermal issue, I should be able to go back to normal operation. Although I did find one thing weird. The GPU utilization does not change a whole lot. It does change a little bit on the, this is the RTX now. This is the one that's running the top monitor. You can see that the utilization is at, 35%, but it doesn't really creep up or down too much. It seems to just kind of hang in there. And part of that seems to be that when I open up Chrome seems to prefer running on that GPU. And there are certain games and applications, including that driving game, BeamNG Drive, where if you play it on a different monitor than the GPU that's running it, it still works. Like, it'll run on a different monitor, but it'll utilize the other GPU to do its thing. And usually you'll see this graph that says copy doing something. So it's like almost like seems like it's copying the video signal from GPU to GPU, but it's not doing the computation on the other GPU. So it's like kind of like a cool way to do things, especially if like you have multiple monitors on a second GPU, but you know that that second GPU is not going to do the best 3D acceleration. It's nice to have that certain applications. Nice to know that certain applications can at least still take advantage of the better GPU. So that's what we got there. Of course, a little inconvenient is now when I want to click on the chat, I gotta go get the window up. Then I can click on Story Time with Psycho Dwarf 9. But before I do, it blew my mind when I learned from you that a system can run 2 GPUs. I don't know why I used that voice. I just thought I'd put on a funny voice just now, David. But yeah, no, it's kind of cool. I didn't know that for a while, but I kind of started suspecting it because, of course, when you buy a laptop that has like an integrated GPU and a dedicated or discrete graphics chipset or graphics card, it kind of gives you a hint that, okay, this can be done. And there are times where you could run video encoders where you could have a second GPU, but if you want to use Intel Quick Sync video encoding, you can do that while using your NVIDIA GPU for everything else. And so anyway, bottom line is that, especially if I hit the record button in OBS, watch what happens when I hit record. Let's try that again. And the pilot's back. So yeah, I don't know why that happened, but that's no big deal. I haven't restarted in hours, so, you know. But that was, is my audio still there? You guys can hear me? I hope you can hear me. Let's hit the record button again and see if it crashes. Okay, that worked. Good. So now let's look at my right side. Uh-oh. Yep, there you go. So when I hit the record button in OBS, you can see the video encoding graph doing stuff. So I suspect doing that might help the temperature go up a little bit when combined with the 3D accelerator. So if the 3D acceleration is at high load, like if I'm running the animated VTuber app and, VStream and StreamYard, or VStream or StreamYard alongside OBS on that second GPU, yeah, that pushes up the heat. There's a third application. I forgot to mention, there is one other application. It turns out that when I'm running Discord, it also does it. So, because like when I was streaming with LCX, yeah, we were using Discord. So that means there are 3 things that can do it. So we're going to open up Discord real quick, and we're going to see what the graph does. So good. Discord's opening up my top monitor. So right now, I don't expect this graph to spike up, but you can see a weird curve on this graph. But if I take Discord and I move it, see, it doesn't go up a lot, but you can see how if you have the OBS on your second monitor or third monitor or fourth monitor, and if you have, like, so this is Discord, OBS would bring it up here, and then the VTuber thing, you would bring it somewhere here. So basically, between these 3 things, they might cause the GPU to heat up more and more. So that's the gist of it. So anyway, with that being said, let's close Discord. Oh no, we don't have to close Discord because look, the GPU is not getting angry. Although this GPU looks like it's kind of spiking up a little bit. All right, what's next? Psycho Dwarf 9, that's what's next. David Glenn, in the 90s, we called them daughter boards. Ah, yeah, that's true. Yep, that is a valid name. You can also call it a planar board. And I guess a planar board is a place where you put silicon planar transistors, or perhaps because it's flat like a plane, they called it a planar board. Or like you would sometimes have the term backplane, or what was it? Yeah, I think on the S100 computers, like the Altair and the IMSI 8080, so, like those late 70s computers, those would have had like some kind of backplane or planar board. Because their motherboard was nothing like what was a motherboard on a computer of that era? There really wasn't much of a motherboard, but what would happen is you would have daughter boards, including the processor board. So this would be a daughter board, but it would get slotted into the main slots on the case down here. And here we are, whatever. And unfortunately, we can't see anything, but I can tell you that the board that all of these slots go into is a dummy board. I mean, it's not dummy, but it's like, it's basically all it is 100 cartridge connectors or 100 contacts. And it puts these on a common bus. And it's kind of cool because it allows you to understand how old computers worked a little better. You know, it's sort of like has a lot of fundamentals that, you know, help out, you know, and just kind of, there we go. Good. I got a picture. This is perfect. So look at that board. There's like nothing there. There's like absolutely nothing there except for like, you know, some traces, some resistors. Apparently that's the power supply connection. A couple of nuts and wires going straight in. Holy crap. Danger, danger, Will Robinson, high voltage and power supply section. And you got this big fat capacitor that looks like it would kill an elephant. But yeah, so you can just see like how stupid simple this was. And so, of course, what happens is the CPU board would have some, you know, components like the CPU and chipset components, I guess. And it would be able to switch the signaling and, you know, route signals between all of this crap. So that's the gist of it. But let's move on. Hey, what up, LCX? And Psycho Dwarf 9, I didn't read your messages yet. Sips rum and slugs coffee. Doing a Bailey's coffee today? I think I have a bottle of Bailey's. I gotta go and, no, Slim is not here right now, but he's a good guy too. No, I'm joking, but Slim Nim was here recently. And greetings, LCX. But yeah, I do have one question. I think I have one question left over from LCX's stream from Monday. But real quick, we're going to go and watch a weather report. Let me just find the weather report. I got so many tabs open. And I figured out why my computer is crashing, I think. So basically the gist of it is if I put OBS, StreamYard, and crap, what's the other app? OBS, StreamYard, and the VTuber app on any of the bottom 3 monitors, I think it causes my second GPU to heat up more than it should. And the thing we discovered on Monday was that Discord is in that list. So it could be StreamYard in the browser, so StreamYard, Restream, or Discord combined with OBS is basically enough to cause it to crash, especially if I'm using the video encoder. So that's the answer. Not so much RAM overload, but it's kind of weird. So what happens is this is the first GPU that runs the top monitor, and this is the second GPU that runs the remaining 3 monitors. And so when I have those 3 things simultaneously on the other monitors, it causes the utilization to go up. Here, I'll demonstrate right now. Watch what happens when I put Discord down here. So now Discord's on my left monitor, not Discord, Restream, same shit. So we got Restream on the left monitor, as you can see, right? We can see it's like, I moved it here. Oh God, it says, do you want to leave site? No, I do not want to leave the site. Okay, there we go. And then if I open up Discord again, so I'm just going to switch my camera, make sure I don't have anything in Discord. Okay, good. I just have the kitten channel. Now I'm going to move that to my left monitor. It doesn't really matter where I put it, but we're going to put it on left monitor. And then look at that. So the graph goes up incrementally. And then if I, what is missing? What's the other app I can open? OBS. Let's take OBS now. We're really going to push it to the limit. You ready? I don't know if I am. All right, that's weird. It dipped. You know why it dipped? Because I'm using a video encoder. I got to post a post. We're going to stop recording. Now the video encoder graph goes down. Oh, that's weird. Now it's acting freaking paradoxical. All right, I don't know what's going on now. But bottom line is that usually what happens is when I put all this crap on these other monitors, it causes this to happen. There it is. And so by the time I open up the VTuber, animated VTuber app, this one creeps up to like 90-something%. And when it's at 90-something%, it seems to push the temperature up. And we looked at pictures a moment ago where we saw the 2 GPUs in my computer. So before I close those browser tabs out, I'll show you what I'm talking about after okay, good. I think I got the video windows out of the way. So let's see here. We're going to close out some stuff. All right, we're looking at some antiquated computers real quick. There we go. So this is my main GPU. It takes up 3 slots, which is annoying as hell, but it certainly has enough cooling. Then my secondary GPU is this one right over here. And this is an NVIDIA Quadro. It's got 4 display ports. And as you can see, it's very sleek. I mean, you know, it takes up 1 slot. But that's part of the problem is that when it's running at the full wattage and when it's running at 90%, it's going to run at nearly 75 watts. this gets pretty toasty. So I think 70 degrees Celsius is like 160 or some crazy crap like that. Let's see. We'll do a quick 70 C to Fahrenheit, which are freedom. Yeah, 160. So that brings us perilously close to the thing. Now, I thought it was a driver issue, but I installed the NVIDIA. I did a driver update. I installed the studio drivers. Now, I haven't completely ruled that out yet, and I am going to revisit that if the problem still persists. But the solution for the moment, I'm going to grab one little piece, but I'm going to turn on the weather report real quick. I do have a beast PC. I'm going to pet it right now. But yeah, I'm quite proud of it. I've been using the same case since like 2013. And it's a full tower case, so it's a little heavy. It's kind of annoying. When I have to move this computer, I usually take half the components out, especially the hard drives. We got 4 8-terabyte drives. We got 2 hot swap bays, a Blu-ray burner, and then, you know, some stuff. It could be beastier, but I'm pretty satisfied. And if I had any less airflow than I had right now, it would probably have more thermal issues. So yeah, I'm a happy camper. Tonight, I got to record a Starfinder session 1. Ooh, what is that? I got to record a Starfinder Session 1 report. Starfinder? Oh, like the movie Starship Troopers. I would like to know more. RAM, bam, thank digital RAM. All right, let me put on my silver suit while I go and retrieve my something that I got in the mail. Oh yeah, I've got to put on the weather report real quick. And then we're going to answer that missing question. Okay, that's Anime Night. I'm going to watch him later. We can raid him if you guys want. Okay. And I think the audio is good. Let me make sure the audio... Where's my OBS window? Uh-oh. I lost the OBS window. No, seriously, I did lose it. Well, the video is still working, so I guess we don't need OBS, do we? Oh, here it is. It's on my bottom monitor. Okay, good. Let's verify the audio.
I mean, Bob.
Is that loud enough, guys?
And tonight on Floral from Under a Rock, we are introducing...
That seems loud enough, right? Hopefully it's loud enough. All right, let's roll. Oh, come on, not the spinner again.
Hello there. This is Bob. And tonight on Floral from Under a Rock, we are introducing a new segment called Fan Created Content, where fans from the show submitted videos, and we are playing them for them. Enjoy.
Hey guys, I'm Wilton of the Meteorological Show, and today's weather forecast is brought to you by the letters H, U, R, R, C, A, N, and E.
Just an FYI to all the kitties out there, hurricane is spelled with I. Some would say the I of the hurricane is the most important part.
As you can see, the hurricane is very windy today, and it's probably a good thing, Floral, that you did not see my message on Twitter X, because had you invited me on, I would not have had much of a plan other than showing this hurricane. Consider this a proof of concept. And that is all. That is all. All. I said a lot of crap. Did the sound work in the Wilton video, by the way? That's what I was saying. I was asking if the sound worked in the video. I hope it did. But yeah, as I was saying, that's Wilton. That's my impersonation of Wilton, the troll. And he's yellow, but the yellow was a bit close to the green. So I had to do a trick in DaVinci where I like put a little box around him and not really rotoscoped it. I didn't do any tracking. I just kind of put a stationary box that was roughly shaped like his face, and that's how we got it to be yellow. And then we just did a comedic, weather report. So yeah. But what I'm looking for, what was I looking for? Oh yeah, I got the questions. I got the questions queued up. I'll show you guys those in a second. Let's just close some of these browser tabs. And that's the Rumble chat. So if I get a message on Rumble, I will know. And is my camera too high? Anyway. At least it was only 30 seconds instead of 30 minutes. Tell me about it. Yes, okay, good. Thank goodness. I just want to be sure. A friend asked if you were one of the hobbyists who got a better shot of the eclipse than NASA. I don't think did they get that bad of a shot? We did take a look at it on your show, but it was very quick. We could take a quick look at it and see if see if it's any better. We could certainly do that because it was definitely in the history here. But let's see, live streams. That was the only stream where I ever saw Nosferatu the vampire tune into me. All right. We got 7 of 9. Look at 7 of 9. Anyway. Oh yeah, we were playing the Katamari song. That was great. I'm so happy I'm so happy Slim Nim introduced me to Katamari. So anyway, what I had to do, okay, this is great. So I'm using a solar filter called a Daystar Quark, and we did talk about that in detail on L's Monday, Sunday. No, it was Sunday, not Monday. Yeah. And you can see how, like, in this angle, we can see some of the spicules, as they're called, which are the surface details on the sun. But depending on how you adjust your exposure time and gain settings, you're going to see more or less of that detail. In this case, the big challenge was, as much as I wanted to be able to see both the eclipse and the surface detail of the sun, it was cloudy that day. So you can see how, like, at some points the clouds really roll in, and I have to crank up the exposure time just to overcome the reduced light transmission. And so we had times where, like, you could see this, like, line going across the sun, this filament or something. You can see sunspots, but we don't really get an opportunity to see those for a lot. See, like, right here in the beginning, like, I did some testing. I tried inverting the image, and you can just see, like, the clouds we're dealing with. Now, that said, as long as the light is shining through the clouds and you get something, you can crank up your exposure and force it. And so this would have been the beginning where I was starting up the image acquisition. So, yeah, I do have a high-resolution version of this somewhere, a raw version of this. It probably took up 100 gigs, at least 100 gigs. I wouldn't be surprised. And you can see the shadow is starting right there. So we're going to fast-forward it a little bit. And you can see the clouds get a little darker. Here, let's skip through here. All right, so there's the wide shot. So we have two telescopes. We have a baby telescope, the guide scope, which gives us a wide. I got 400. Oh, in the future. Well, I appreciate that, Tim. Thank you very much, Tim's talk. It's good to see you. I got to drop a link for you in a moment. It's fantastic to see you, though. Hope you're doing well. There's the restream thing. Yeah, good man. I like Tim. You should check out his channel. Last week, my players infiltrated a speed shop. Oh, yeah, the Star Wars game. Install a custom 100-ton Navy intel ship. 100-ton. I'm sorry. That's not tone. Alrighty. I know, we're getting close to 400. I have sunspots all over my arms. Oh, powder wannabe. I believe it. Is using AI to enhance these cheating? I wouldn't need to, right? Because a lot of times we're already cheating by doing it manually, but that's sort of the nature of astro image processing. You're trying to bring out details, and the thing is that as long as you're using real data, you know what's cheating out? You know what? You want to know what's cheating? You guys are all gonna love this. So it's cheating when somebody has astrophotography. So let's say they take a picture of some stars and a nebula. Then they go and they get some effing Hubble data. They download some raw Hubble data and they add it to their image stack. So now it's like you take your own pictures and you stack them, you process them, but it's not good enough. So then you go and you fetch some Hubble data, which is done on the Hubble Space Telescope, mind you, which is like way up 300 kilometers in orbit or whatever. And you put that in your image and you post it to Instagram for likes. And you don't tell anybody. That is cheating. And people do it. People do that. Yeah, that's a thing. So if we do a quick Google search for like Hubble data, we could probably get different types of Hubble data. So, you know, we can see the imagery, and a lot of times when you first download it, it's going to be just like black and white or monochrome or whatever. And let's just see what we can get here just for kicks. Now, it's one of these government sites where they give you a shopping cart, but you don't pay for anything. I think what they're doing is they're trying to, like, you know, they're trying to get, they're trying to, you know, what is it? Catalog how much people are downloading so that they can prove that the tax dollars they spend are going to something. I mean, I'm not really sure, but this happens when you go to download maps from the USGS, from the US Geodesic or Geo something survey. Show Prism preview. Okay, and then they provide FITS files. So, okay, you get some raw data here. Apparently, this is an exoplanet or some crap. I think is it an exoplanet? What is this? I don't even know what I'm looking at. I thought I asked it to show me the Andromeda galaxy. Let's try that again. Andromeda. Andromeda galaxy? What is the number on that? I believe it's M31, but maybe I mixed up numbers. M32. All right, so let's do that. That's why I got the wrong. Okay, we're gonna do M32, and then we'll get to that question real quick right after this. All right, so let's see if we can get just one picture of the, just give you guys, okay, ew. That almost looks like a mosaic or something. That might be like photometry or some crap like that. But anyway, point is, if you go through this archive enough, you will find imagery that you can use, and it'll be in a pretty raw state, but you could do stuff with it. So you download the FITS files, and those are basically like practically raw images. Or you might even go to one of these sites where they give you slightly more finished data. But the gist of it is that people will download raw Hubble data and then add it to their image stack. So like this red stuff, that is ionized hydrogen. That's, you know, hydrogen alpha. So perhaps somebody took a picture in black and white, or perhaps they took a color picture that came out all washed out. And now they need to add some, you know, like fine color details. So they'll basically use Hubble data on their crappy images and then show it off on social media and get likes. And that is effing cheating. So yeah, that is basically the answer to that one right there. DJ, I'm doing a stream Saturday. Hit me up. Hopefully we can get you on and get you the full... Oh, that's so kind. Yeah, I should be available on Saturday. Oh, thank you. I worked on Sunday, but that's Sunday. Saturday, and I don't have any plans really on Saturday. Friday I do. Saturday I don't. Oh, we got some links here. Okay, that's Tim's Talk right over there, guys. So check out Tim's Talk. And we got another Tim's Talk. So you got 2 links for the price of 1 right there. I mean, I guess it's the price of 2 because you got 2 people posting them. So I guess you got to pay them both now. Oh, and so Hubble data is available. Yes, Hubble data is available to the public in various forms. Some more processed than not, or less processed than, yeah, you get the idea. You know, they got like some of it. I don't know if it's all available. I don't know what the limitations are. I believe James Webb Space Telescope data is also available too. And luckily, if somebody uses that data, you get these weird spikes called diffraction spikes. So like, basically it's because of the bit on the telescope that holds the mirror in position. It creates these spikes. And so on the Hubble, it looks like a cross, which is really cool. It's like that Christmas star looking thing. But then on the James Webb, you get these like hexagon. So that's the Hubble diffraction spikes. And it just all because it's like an L shape, or like essentially the mirror in the front of the telescope will be suspended. So this is the mirror and this is the opening. And so the little mirror is being held in place by these metal brackets. And so what happens is, even when the star is in focus, if it's really bright, it creates these shapes. So in the case of the James Webb, of course, there we go. This is exactly what happens. So this is what causes the spikes. So if someone was cheating, they would either have to remove the spikes so that people, you know, it's not so damn obvious, because it would be super obvious if you tried to, you know, get a nebula into your image. I guess you could edit out the spikes, but yeah, you would have to do that if you were a really, you know, if someone was a really, you know, dirty cheater. And there we go. Those are the mirrors on the James Webb that are getting covered by these 3 thingamajigs, and that's how we get this. It's sort of like, yeah, long story. I don't even know how to explain it, but that's what we have there. IDC, 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 IDC. It's really hard to read, man. I mean, like, but that person apparently does not care. Say happy birthday to Okay, maybe I should like moderate that one. Little white people. Do I know little white people? Well, happy birthday if it's your birthday. Anyway, let's see here. Where do we roll here? I'll leave that to the moderator's discretion to do whatever you guys want to do with that. I don't know if that's actually warranted. They might just be having fun. I'm all for trolling. I'm all for comedic trolling, I guess, right? But anyway, let's find the, let's see, what was I looking for? Oh, yeah, real quick. I probably shouldn't have that on screen for too long in case it's seen as racist. Anyway, did my stream go offline? Testing, 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 test. Hello? Can anyone see? Oh, crap. Okay, maybe that, I don't know how that happened. Was I playing, was it the Katamari song? Was I playing the Katamari song? I thought I closed that. Well, anyway, that's the video to the solar eclipse. Let me see if I can find it again. I'll give you guys the link. I'm going to mute the audio onto that. Maybe the Katamari music was getting me. Let's check at the stream health. I put that person on timeout just in case, even though that was a bitch move. I didn't really want to take a chance. So and if it's my friend, oh good. Hey, what up, some person? Good to see you. And if it's a friend of mine who uses multiple usernames, they'll come back under a different alias. But I suspect that was not someone I know or I'm friends with. So I figured we'd just play it cool, play it safe, and save me the effort of having to deal with anything. Let's see here. Okay, it's probably just a little aberration in the internet connections. I mean, we're sending signals all around the globe right here. You know, right now, this show is spanning around the world right now. We're spanning the globe right now. I did go down. You saw it, Awesome One. You watched me on Floral's show. I totally went down, right? Remember? Yeah, I'll show you. I'll show you proof. See, this was the part when I was doing the weather report, right? Look. Okay, you remember this now? And I literally went down.
And you know what that means? This
Wait, where's the...
represents an area
Let's get that. Yeah, there we go. Okay.
kind of poor.
I clicked it too many times.
Unfortunate. Not quite as cool as America, but we...
Look, I'll prove it. See, look, I'm going down right now. Because I couldn't see the weather map on. Yeah, see, look, I'm down. See, I told you I went down. I never went. Oh, that's not me. That's my robot. You know what? I stand corrected. I never went down. PD went down. I did not. All right, let's get to the questions now. We just couldn't see the screen. Oh, maybe I did something like pressed, but couldn't see the screen to Hubble stuff you were trying to show. Oh, oops. I think I know what I did. Wait, you mean, wait, can you see that? Yeah, so long story short, I went to one of the Hubble websites. It wasn't this one, it was a different website. And I was clicking at really crap quality images, basically, completely unprocessed. But like, let's do a little gag real quick. Instagram show Hubble Instagram. Let's see, Instagram Hubble data cheating. Let's see if there's any and like some of these people will legitimately use Hubble data, but I do think it is a form of cheating. Like here's some examples of Hubble data here. And if somebody discloses it, that's cool too. If somebody literally discloses, they say, hey, I used Hubble data, then that's fine. That's totally okay. It's not cheating if you tell people you used Hubble data. But it is cheating if you take something like this and you add it to your own data. And if this happens to be vastly better than your own pictures and you act like it's yours, yeah, then that's a dick move. And if you try to use the Hubble deep field image of, imagery of galaxies of great distances at great distances, and you don't tell people that it's deep field, well, then you're probably just, someone doing that would be really dumb. Hubble multimedia, Hubble images. Thank you, Lady Mist. Oh yeah, that's the link to that thing image, right? Cool, cool, cool. Is that the same page I opened up? Yes, it is. Okay, good. All right, very good. And thanks, Tim. Okay, let's see real quick. I turn into a pumpkin in a few minutes. Okay, let's roll. Oh, no. Okay, that's all right. You can watch the recap if you want. Catch you later, David Glenn. Thanks for hanging out. And thanks for coming to that show on Sunday. All right, so I got questions. Well, I have one question. I believe there was only one question. So, on LCX's show, which you should totally check out her channel. I'll drop a link before this is over. We covered a lot of ground, like 5 hours worth. I think we broke a record at some point, maybe. But the only question I was not asked was, do you believe in a higher existence, etc., or a reality beyond what our current tools and knowledge can perceive or predict? It's a cool question. Now, I did take some notes so that I wouldn't have to rack my brain in case my brain had a lapse. Let's see here. Well, okay, long story short, I guess it's not long story short. Actually, there is a long story here. Oh, and I forgot to show you guys. This is how I'm going to make my computer cool down. These are slot covers. I'm going to put them next to the graphics card. They have holes in them, and that's how we're going to try to mitigate the heat. And if that doesn't work, I'm going to add a fan blowing on the card. That was from like, what, half hour ago? So I'm just going to set that aside. So now, answering the question. So I guess I just want to give you a little background here. So when I was a kid, I was baptized Roman Catholic in 1988, which is 2 years after I was born. So, yeah, you get some looks from the rectory when the secretary at the rectory, when they hear you say that. But beyond that, I was an altar boy when I was like, 8, 9, 10. I think I was like 10, 11, maybe 11, 12 years old, I would say. I was an altar boy for I don't know, 2 or 3 years, maybe approximately. Might have been 4 years, I forget. I'd have to go back to the photo archive, see if I could figure it out. And up until the end of high school, I could not comprehend people being atheists. Like, whenever a friend or someone said, I'm atheist, but how? I would get so, it would almost be like if the robot, Petey the robot, started making smoke, or like that Star Trek episode when Captain Kirk said to the robot, I am not a liar. Or what Captain Kirk said to the robot, I am a liar. And then the robot started shorting out and emitting smoke because it couldn't work. It couldn't really handle the paradox of how someone could say they're not a liar or they are a liar. But then let's say I tell you I'm a liar. That means that I'm telling the truth. It means I'm lying about being a liar, which means I'm not a liar. But then if I'm not a liar and I say I'm a liar, then it means I'm lying. And you can see how to thought loop. And you can look it up. There's like a video. It's the episode. It's one of the episodes with Harry Mudd in it. It's the one where he has the fembots. It's the episode of Star Trek where Harry Mudd has a little underground complex with a bunch of these hot, identical female robots. And it's a pretty good episode. It's kind of out there, but it kind of has a hilarious ending. So yeah, you should check it out. We have Thanos here? Dadlactus. Dadlactica. Anyway, okay. My brain. Wait, not Thanos. Galactics. Yeah, okay, where did the comic books come in? Those whole images sometimes look freaky, almost like looks like people that are galactic-sized giants. Oh yeah, it's sort of that's kind of the interesting thing. That's why a lot of galaxies and nebulas in Stellarium will have cool names, like the Monkey Head Nebula, the Monkey Paw Nebula. It's people doing that pareidolia, where they look at a cloud and it looks like a shape. And obviously, a cloud is just a cloud, but it's sometimes easier to, keep track of things in space when they resemble something, whether it looks like a fireworks or something like a whirlpool, Everything, that's the spirit. Everything I've said is a lie, including this statement. So then there you go. The robot freaks out. They're like, wait, so you're not a liar, meaning that you are lying. But if you are lying, then it means you are not lying. Yeah, and that's what happened. The robots emit smoke. So that was me. When someone said they were atheist, I could not comprehend it for shit. I was just like, it's like, but how? It's like I didn't understand it. Just couldn't comprehend it. Couldn't wrap my head around it. And then I'd say around, fast forward, I must have graduated high school in 2004. And then gradually, somewhere by 2008, 2009, I stumbled into the atheist people on YouTube. And by then I was asking questions. So I was really, ripe to, input new knowledge, or I guess I was a little more malleable. And I was like, oh, these people are being somewhat reasonable. And I was kind of agreeing with it. But the main thing I ended up like kind of getting out of that was it got old after a while. Because once for a short while there, I was acting like the YouTuber atheist. And you know how these people get, not the atheism plus people. They got atheism plus, where it's sort of like atheism and secularism. It's what do they call it? Secular humanism, which is really just like a cute way of saying feminism sometimes. And, you know, they can kind of like have their own issues in general. But the gist of it is I realized, or I kind of came to the conclusion that these are religious. A lot of people are religious atheists. And some of them be people who are like former Christians who are super religious. And then when they were no longer religious, they'd be like acting like they were so much better. Almost like when someone quits smoking and they act like who the fuck they are. They'd be acting like that. And they'd go through statistics saying, oh, there's a lot of fat people in the Bible Belt. And religion means, you know, makes people think that, oh, I don't have to take care of my health because, you know, God will take care of it. And that's why the people are fat. And maybe that's a factor. That's interesting, you know. But it's just, they were so annoying about it. We're like, you know, for example, you got like religious people where you got like, you know, a person who's moderately religious, and then you got the person who's always like, blessed be the day, and then they're trying to shove religion down your throat wherever you go, and it's like, sometimes even religious people get annoyed at that. Then you got the atheist people, and they're literally like, just like the polar opposite, but yet the mirror opposite, I guess, the mirror image of that, where like I was like that, where like, say, 2012, a friend goes, they talk about how they go to church. And I'd be like, I don't know how I would respond. I don't remember exactly how I'd say it, but I'd open the can of worms about like, what is God real? And, you know, question it. And then they'd go back and forth. And like, you know, like I remember one example a friend gave me was like, a little girl had a dream and she saw Jesus in the dream. And then she painted a picture of Jesus and it looked just like Jesus that you'd see in a regular church. And I mean, to me, like, regardless, like, even if she had a dream for real, the way I see it, her brain was probably influenced by seeing a picture. She probably like was, you know, not, you know, what do you call it, a clean slate. She probably seen pictures of white Jesus somewhere. You know, like the regular white Jesus, guy with a beard, wearing a robe, hanging out with the apostles, you know, Last Supper, all that good stuff. And so, yeah, I would easily be able to form an argument against that. But that being besides the point, my point now is that eventually I got past that religious atheist phase where I no longer saw a need to, like, give people a hard time about their belief system, you know? And there was another angle to this that sort of shifted my opinion a little bit, but I don't want to say, like, there was a time where I would go around saying I was agnostic, but I don't think I was truly agnostic. I just didn't know. Now I feel like I might actually be able to get away with saying that and meaning it. Because, like, the religious atheists, like, they don't think they have a religion, but they are so married to their ideology, that's where they're at. So anyway, basically where I'm at now is, I don't know if I believe in a monolithic God who, like, you know, I don't think, like, I don't think or know if a deity would really care what any of us organics are doing. You know, like, it's like, we're just organics. We're just like, we got ants, we got birds, we got people. I get it. We're smarter than the birds and ants. So, you know, we got souls. But at the end of the day, it's like, I don't understand why God, or like, even the other angle I have is like, why would God send someone to hell for not believing? It's like, how am I supposed to take people's word for it? It's like, if I'm looking at the Bible, I understand it's the word of God, but I also understand that some of the people who wrote the Bible was sort of, you know, given that knowledge telepathically or something. So I would think that if the God that I was brought up learning about in catechism classes is the God that we actually have, then he's going to forgive me for not believing. Like, he's not going to give me a hard time. It's not going to be like I die and God's going to be like, you go to hell. You know, it's like no soup for you, as they say on Seinfeld. If it's not a merciful God, let's just say God really wants to send me to hell for like eternity because I asked questions today, then I don't think that's a God that's worth worshiping. You know, it's like, I understand some people, they get like signs from God. They feel that they can speak to God in some way. And that's why I watched, what's his name? Floral. Floral from Under a Rock. He does church from Under a Rock on Sundays. And like, I'm not, like I said, I'm not religious. He even says, like, I hope Ron goes to church. Like, I get it. He wants my soul to be saved. And I appreciate that, you know? And I would never condescend to tell Floral not to maintain his beliefs because I think he's doing a lot of good. He's like, you know, he's a positive influence on people around him. And I strongly respect that, you know? Whereas there was a time I probably would just, like, you know, rolled my eyes at it and being like, okay, you do you. But at the same time, I would have probably looked down on it instead of, like, respecting it, you know? So I'm glad I got past that stupid, you know, that religious atheist phase because, like, I can't say enough bad things about it. But beyond that, it's sort of like aliens. And let me see. Did I miss anything in the chat, by the way? Let's roll with the chat real quick. And then we'll talk about aliens or how aliens build. Wow, I got a lot of chat here. It's great. Yes. That's exactly where we're going next. Most atheist channels are a bit too militant, and some have gone woke. Like, yeah, like that guy who does the animations. Yep. Blessed be the day. Yeah, overweight people, it can affect your mood. But everyone is a sinner. The goal is to strive to be better and admit your mistakes. And that's the thing. I think like religious or not, people should do that stuff anyway. So one of my things is like I don't believe that morality has to come from religion, but I can understand why, you know, societally religion was a force to ensure that people, you know, stayed on the straight and narrow, because there was a time where like people would be like, why, like, you know, like here's an example, like my Russian coworker, he has a lot of out there conspiracy theories and stuff. He kind of believes in creationism in the sense that like there's a spider that looks like a wasp, and he's like, how could that evolve through natural selection? So he believes that there must be some designer that, you know, decides what is needed. And I don't buy that. I'm all for natural selection. Even if there's issues with Darwinian evolution, I think natural selection makes sense. I think, like, you know, we had wolves, we have dogs. Selective breeding of dogs is sort of like an example, even though it's a crude way of going about it. That's sort of like evidence that some form of Darwinian evolution or some form of, you know, evolution by way of natural selection totally exists. I mean, it works. Whether that explains everything in the universe on our Earth, I don't know. But, you know, it kind of just seems to make sense. What if God was one of us? That's good. Yeah, that's a classic. Fighting Civ with a lightsaber. That's a funny one. Like, yo, the other day we were like watching was it this girl named the Kitten or that Kitten? And this girl who's like British, she's great, and she talks about, she does these things. She does diagrams and stuff. Like, so she'll watch the presidential debate, and God, this thing is hot. And that's another thing I noticed. Sometimes atheist people will be like, "Thank God," or they'll say God in a sentence like, "Oh my God," you know. It's like, so it's ironic, and I think part of it is like, you could argue it's indoctrination. When you're a young kid, you know, you receive this knowledge, and then you spend the rest of your life, whether or not you are religious, referring to God, you know, whenever anything happens, you know, whether you break your thumb or get laid, you're like, oh my God. And so, yeah, that happens, you know. But anyway, the thing about God is, how would I even recognize God? So realistically, yeah, I can't rule out God. Scientifically, I can't rule out God. It's sort of like Carl Sagan. He had a quote. It was, I'm not an atheist, he said, because an atheist knows that there is no God. And Carl Sagan, being the legitimately scientific man he was, didn't know for certain that there was no God. So he decided he was not an atheist. And I can respect that. So he's like probably 90% atheist, but open-minded enough. And I don't know if he wrote that quote late in his life or if it was before he got sick, but maybe that would have shaped his answer to some extent. I believe in good, but I don't put it upon people. Oh, I believe in God. I misread that. But yeah, that's cool. I respect that. And that's the thing, like, if someone believes in God and I have questions, I'm not going to hassle them like, oh, have you ever questioned it, buddy? It's like, no, just let it be. You know, like, people need to arrive at their own, you know, they need to follow their own path. You know, it's like when someone tries to influence people's path, some humans, we're both stubborn, and also it's just annoying when people are preachy and overly preachy in either direction. It's okay if they try to get some pointers. I like that some of my religious friends are trying to look out for my soul, even if I don't think that it's at great risk. Or sometimes I do joke, like, you know, one thing is that Catholics who do go to church but are not super religious, some of them have a sense of humor. My mom sure as fuck did. And my mom had a book. It was called Growing Up Catholic. And I remember looking at this book, and there was like the hierarchy of a Catholic church, and it had like the priest or the pope at the top, and as you work your way down, you got the clergy, you got the nuns, you got the ushers, you got the altar boys somewhere in between there, you got the parishioners, and then I don't know who's on the bottom. I guess the parishioners. But it was kind of just funny, like all these little tropes. And one of the things about, at least in New York, Catholics don't generally do not sing. And so when you go to like a Protestant, if you ever had to go to a Protestant, whether you were forced to do it or you attended one for any reason, Protestants and other denominations, they love doing their singing. But throughout history, my mom explained to me that in the 60s or 70s, they tried to get Catholics to sing, and you just can't get them to freaking do it for the life of them. Like, you can get them to read out of the book monotone. Like, you can get them all to read out of the gospel and just kind of like go like, praise be with him. It's like the Borg, basically. But you will not get the Catholics to sing. Now, they might bring a singer in. They might have a guy, you always have a guy playing an organ or a woman playing an organ. And sometimes you'll have a singing lady, next to that, right? So that's the thing. And I remember for like a couple years, we had this singing lady, but then the guy who played the organ, my mom made an observation that the guy playing the organ would play the organ really loud, almost to drown out the sound of the lady, which sounds really effed up. But, that's humans for you, right? But let's keep rolling here. But when people make jabs, I take a punch. Absolutely, rightfully so. You should have every right to take that punch. It's free will. Or the movie Free Willy. That's a different topic. Faith cometh by hearing, hearing by the word of God. Thank you. I do like those. I do sometimes like saying sentences with those, with that type of phraseology, I guess. John Baptist was the worst, but had redemption. I did not know that, but that's fascinating. There was actually a Bible passage that Steve or Floral recommended I read, because I had a question. I forgot the question, but it's in a message. I can go to the DM and find it. And I do plan on reading that passage, because if someone's going to take the time to answer a question with a Bible passage, I can at least read it. But, I'm not necessarily going to read the whole thing. I'm an atheist because life experience and some personal research and discretion. And yeah, exactly. I mean, like, basically it's like, it's one thing to be atheist, another thing to be the religious, feminist, Yahtzee atheist, if that makes sense. Well, maybe not Yahtzee, but you know what I mean. The problem is times are changing, and they really weren't supposed to change in the way humanity works. Our natural law as man is to work with our hands. That's very interesting, because that's one of the things that, like, yeah, it's true. Like, I remember in the book Hyperion. Oh man, it's a good book. Great series, by the way. I highly recommend the Hyperion Cantos by Dan Simmons. Good, because I started reading Hyperion because in book 3 and 4, the Catholic Church somehow took over like a large part of space. Like, they have control over multiple planets, and they don't have faster than light travel as we know it. The ships that they use to go faster than light kill you. So what happens? I mean, whoever's the passenger on the ship dies whenever they go faster than light, or whenever the ship, translates into hyperspace. So they obtained this parasite or this alien technology or this biotechnology that can resurrect people from the dead. And the Catholic Church has monopoly over this resurrection parasite or resurrection technology. So if you become a Christian, a born-again Christian, they, grant you this sacrament. And so if you are a crew member on one of these ships that kill you whenever it goes into hyperspace, that's what it does. It resurrects you after the fact. Very morbid, and like, that was in book 3 and 4 of the series. But I had to read it, and book 1 is not related to any of that, but fantastic series. Just thought I'd bring it up, because any opportunity to bring up the Hyperion Cantos is worth taking up. But anyway, the point was one of the characters was a Jew. So this takes place like 800, 900 years in the future. And a character named Saul Weintraub is on this like pilgrimage, but it's not his own religion. And it's not even a Catholic pilgrimage. It's some other like religion, practically a cult. And there's like a reason that each of the characters are taking this trip. And it has something to do with their own personal experiences. So they decided at the beginning that they're all going to take turns telling their respective stories, so that they could try to figure out like why they were selected for this journey, or what, ties their situations together, so they could try to survive what they're expecting, because it's a situation where they don't expect to survive unless they really work, hard on dealing with what the obstacles that they are to face. Time is short. This is true. That's a good statement. I don't believe morality has to come from religion. Yeah, so I mean, like, and look, I understand some people might need it, but I think it's important that people have some kind of moral compass that doesn't rely on religion. If they can reinforce it with religion, or they can spread it to others or something, okay, cool. It's definitely a solid shortcut to get people on board. But, but yeah, that's basically where I'm at with that. And it does look, especially in historical times. So the example I was going to give before was like one of the things in one of the, either the Talmud or the Bible. I think it's in the Talmud or the Torah, like shellfish, shrimp is off limits And it's like, well, why is that a religious thing? And you got to think about it, like, okay, where were the early Jews? Probably in the desert, right? Okay, well, you can't get shrimp in the desert. So if you were to get shrimp, you'd have to carry it over land into the desert. By then it would spoil and freaking kill you, right? Because that's like food poisoning to the umpteenth power. So you can't really tell people don't eat shrimp. They'll be like, but why? It's easy to get and it's free food. And it's just hard to explain shit to people sometimes. So you make it into a religious rule. You just make it one of the religious rules, don't eat shrimp. And then they go, but why? Because God says so. And it's like, now people are not eating shrimp. No diarrhea, no dysentery, no stomach aches, no dying, right? So it like sort of like is a form of health code in its time. And it had value, no doubt about it. And I think some of the buildings that were built for religion, some of the old churches. I love walking into an old church. I really do. Like one of the things I did as an altar boy, we went to the seminary like 2 or 3 times in upstate New York. It was called the there's gonna be a funny name, the Dunwoody Cemetery, which I know, pun intended, right? And it was cool. You know, it was just like they had a chapel that looked a bit like a cathedral and had the paintings on the ceiling. And one year I went there and there was like soot on the ceiling. And then another year I went there after they renovated and they cleaned the soot off the ceiling from all of the 80 years worth of candles. And it was just a beautiful, ceiling painting. I don't know if I think a fresco is made out of ceramics or something like that, or plaster, colored plaster. So yeah, speaking of, oh my God, I got it next week, pardon my language. Well, I didn't curse actually. But sometimes when I'm around religious people, I try not to say, oh my God, because sometimes they count that as speaking in vain. So that's the thing. I try to, be reverent. If I'm in a church, I'm not going to drop the F-bomb, right? We're not going to do any of that crap. But anyway, yeah, so I went to the Alamo a few weeks ago, like last month. I guess it's almost a month now. I need to get that video uploaded, or I need to at least edit that video and share that. Because the Alamo, the big part of the Alamo where Punk Waddle does his videos, right? You know how Punk Waddle does his, let's see if we can find a video thumbnail for Punk Waddle real quick, because I love his Alamo backdrop. Do we have an Alamo? Show me the Alamo. It's been so long. When did he stop doing the Alamo? How long has it been? I hope this is an Alamo video. No, this is not the Alamo. Well, either way, he's got videos where he's standing in front of the Alamo. Is this it? Punk Law. Oh, that's beautiful. It's a mountain. Yeah, he was laying down the law. That was good when we had Magitech mags on. That was cool. He had Magitech, he had Magitech mags on. I would love to have mags on if she's available sometime. She's cool. He also, who else did he had Notorial Lifeform on? That was a good episode too. Ready Player Waddle. Oh yeah, so basically the last of the point, before I get to the chat, so I don't want to, forget. So one of the things I think about is like aliens. Like people ask, do you believe in aliens? Are there aliens out there? And it's like, well, one, we know that light takes its time traveling to where we are. But let's just think about it for a second. Like, I know that when we look at different planets, we look for planets that have water. We look for planets that, resemble our own planet, because we know the only life that we are familiar with on our own planet all relies on water, all relies on a chemistry that involves water and oxygen, or some combination of elements that include water, basically, right? So that makes sense why we look for that. But at the same time, I really want to find this Alamo backdrop. Where is it? Maybe it's not here. I know he used to film in front of the Alamo. Oh yeah, that was a wild one right there. That was on Jolly's show when he had to lay down the law. That was wild. Okay, this is just a generic Texas flag background. Oh look, Gator. Let's see what that, puppets of interest. That should be interesting. Oh yeah, me and Punk Waddle have a collab coming up. It should be pretty exciting once we get the wheels moving onto that. Let's see, that's his pond. Maybe I'm on the wrong channel. Maybe it's on Floral from Under a Rock. Floral was, Notorial was wearing his Terminator glasses. All right, well, anyway, just take my word for it. I'll get a picture of the Alamo real quick. Not the rental car company. So this is basically the church. So, first of all, when I went to the Alamo, I didn't realize that there's anything behind it. I just thought this was like one of those buildings in the Wild West where you have like a freestanding brick wall, but there's nothing behind it because it was like a facade just for show. But basically at the Alamo, this is the church section. So essentially it's a larger compound that has walls around it and different sections and locations for artillery and things like that. But this would have been the church. And during one of the sieges, families were held up in here. In fact, there was a cool presentation that I filmed where they had a wall that was formerly a broken wall that they put a projector on. Oh, James, before we conclude, I'll show you the video of the weather report. Ooh, that's cool. That's cool, Ella. I saw that message. Free Space 2 uses jump nodes. Thank you. That makes me want to play that game more. Oh, it is a game. I'm going to play a game either this week or next week. I played it before, but it was really cool. But yeah, Elle mentioned the game Free Space 2. It uses jump nodes as the FTL technology. Okay, let's see. Good. That's where I left off. Just trying to find my place in the chat real quick. The heart is desperately wicked. Who can know it? I was supposed to say that with a yelling voice, wasn't I? Without religion, this is why the world is crazy. And that's a factor. You know, I think there are people who, you know, maybe they don't have anyone to give them a moral compass or help them along with that. And maybe, like, religion is the only way. My biggest concern about religious people is, you know, when you have a religious person who loses their religion and they absolutely go and lose their, you know, their shit. Like, they just go off the fucking rails. You know, it's like they lose their religion and then next thing you know, they're, like, doing crack. Or they lose their religion and they're whoremongering, then they become an alcoholic, then they're like in a motel trying to shoot up Oxycontin. You know, it's like, you know, so I'm not saying that happens to everyone who loses their religion, but it seems that people who only get their morality from their religion, when they lose it, if there's nobody to help them along, or if they're not prepared to, like, you know, have morality in the absence of their religion, they lose they just lose it, you know. So I'm not saying that would happen to everyone, but it's the thing that I've observed, at least thematically in stories. I don't know how often it happens in real life. Okay, well, let's see what happens. Yep, I dig it. Oh, gee, yeah, true. That is your thing. Cops order brings peace. And that's the thing, though. It's like you got cops. So it's actually a side note. So 2020, a lot of people were forced to get a certain type of medical treatment, right? And one of the things I thought about was, like, we do put a lot of importance on STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And I do think that shit's important, and I think it's valuable, and I think all of the stuff tying into that is important. But I think that if it's not already a thing, people who take STEM courses, like especially biotech or, you know, anything about medicine, should take some kind of philosophy course. Because, like, they really need to have some background. And one of the cool things about the book Starship Troopers, so, you know, people on the left would probably say that Starship Troopers is about a fascist utopia. There's a little bit of truth to that, but overall, Heinlein had it right. Robert Heinlein kind of gets it. I mean, more than kind of gets it. He's a smart guy. And one of the things was that in the movie fails to depict this correctly, but in the book, they go back to flashbacks where Ensign Rico or Lieutenant Rico is sitting in his moral philosophy class, and everybody who goes to school in the Starship Troopers, you know, universe. So basically, the Earth is ran by the Terran Federation. Everyone who goes to school has to take a moral philosophy course. It's an elective. It's required, but you're allowed to fail it. You don't have to pass it. And he remembers the teacher was a bit of a hard ass. He had like one arm, or he had a prosthetic arm right up to the elbow because he was a soldier. And in Starship Troopers, in order to become a citizen, everyone's a resident, but to become a citizen, you have to serve either in, you know, public service or the military. So, you know, if you aren't qualified for the military, they'll find some other public service for you. But basically, you have to go through the boot camp. You have to go through the bullshit, the rough shit. You got to earn it. But when everything's said and done, you gain the rights of citizenship, which includes the right to run for political office. And, you know, just an interesting way to go about it, you know. But anyway, in Starship Troopers, like, the point is that, like, when Rico is doing things on the battlefield, when he's dealing with the friendly aliens or the half-friendly aliens that are not bugs, he's constantly, like, searching his moral compass. He's constantly referencing his talks with the teacher or the professor in moral philosophy class, and it seems to help him throughout the story to make decisions to not do fucked up things. Basically, like it's like basically keeps him on the straight and narrow. So I think that like same thing like when people were saying like science says that this is safe and effective, therefore we should make you get it or you lose your job, and it's like. Maybe those people who took some kind of philosophy or morality classes, maybe they would think twice. Maybe they would realize that there are valid, cogent arguments or valid counterpoints to their perspective. So that's kind of where I'm at with that logic right over there. Let's keep rolling. Agreed. I do like talking with people who are super convincing. It's wrong to be atheist, though. Wait, did I read that correctly? Let's make sure. I might have read that out of punctuation. Ah, yep, got you. Yep, that's cool. Yeah, it's interesting to talk to people. Got you. I do like talking with people who are super convinced it's wrong to be atheist. Yeah, absolutely. It's like, it could be interesting, like, as long as they don't give me too hard of a time, like, obviously, if they give me a really hard time, maybe I'd get annoyed, but, like, I think it's cool to respect their points of view, and I think, like, maybe it's an opportunity to build bridges and get them to see it, sort of see it half glass empty or whatever, glass half empty. I remember on election night, I posted something on Tuvok's Twitter, and then one of his executive producers of some project he's working on comes out guns blazing, cursing me out. And I was like, bitch, all I said was, like, we need to come together. Like, I come in peace. I didn't say anything bad. But because she assumed that, like, I voted for Trump because I'm a Nazi who wants to take women's right to kill their fetuses away, that I'm a terrible person. And that's partly because the media misrepresented it. And I think we talked about the Amber Thurman case 2 weeks ago where a woman allegedly died in a hospital after 20 hours of not being treated because of the abortion law in Georgia. And it turned out there's a bit more to that story. I think it was 2 weeks ago. But there's a bit more to that story. And, it took me a little research because, of course, if you just go by the notion that, every media outlet, multiple media outlets publish the same story, therefore it must be true, they all corroborate. It's like, that's just kind of lazy, but that's what a lot of people do. And then these people, they formed strong opinions based on the articles, and they kind of just lose their fucking minds on election night. Peace I give you, not... peace I give you, not at the world gives you. Not that the world gives you? Am I reading that incorrectly? I think he says, peace I give you, not that the world gives you. The message gets concluded. What God said was true. Don't get distracted in doctrine. Oh, that's interesting. And that's how the issue is like, thank you. Peace I give you, not as the world gives you. I see. And there's another thing, like, so one of the things that got me, like, open-minded to, like, the whole religious question again was this guy. He was the inventor of the Dobsonian telescope. So the Dobsonian telescope, there's actually a documentary on YouTube. There's my astronomy thing, so we need to find that. There's a video where this old guy is teaching kids how to build a telescope. Damn it, where is it? It's a great video. It's old as shit. It's a really old video. John Dobson telescope making video. And this is cool because this guy was a monk. He was a brother or a monk at some point in his past. And I think he spent time in China and he's been a bit of a globetrotter. Hey, what up, Punk Water? It's good to see you, man. I was just talking about you. No, it was all good things. But yeah, Punk, we do have to get in touch about planning that collab work soon. After Thanksgiving, of course. But yeah, this guy, like, does everything. He shows kids and adults like how to grind and polish the telescope. This guy's philosophy kind of got me away from that, like, religious atheism bullshit, It's just kind of like something, the guy, just read his stuff or read about him on Wikipedia. You get kind of an idea of what what his mind is like or whatever. And he kind of opened my mind up a little bit. And I liked it because the guy's still rational. He's scientific. Doesn't leave shit to chance. But essentially, when I started getting, when I started doing visual astronomy, when I started looking through the telescope, like, I was like, I don't know if, like, God exists or not, but I see some cool shit in the telescope, and maybe there is an almighty. Yep, there we go. Okay, now I'm catching up with the chat. Phineas, voice. Phineas. That sounds like a high-pitched name. Phineas. Yes, it does. I don't know if I said that. Hey, what up, Fabric Folds? Formerly Tits and Ray Guns. He is now, yes, Floral from Under a Rock. No, it's from Under a Rock. All right, that's Floral from Under a Rock. And in this video, I'm from under a desk, apparently, because I was trying to get out of the way of the weather map, and I had, like, no way to do it. So I was like, oh, we'll just do this.
You are going to finally get some winter if you haven't already, Floral. Whereas in New York, we have some west air coming from the south, and that's going to help push away your cold pressure front so that you will be subjected to it, and I don't have to worry about using low viscosity oil until hopefully the end of December.
Okay.
Okay, I'm sorry, guys. Religion is the teacher that leads you to the relationship with God. Then you cast off religion. Interesting. I've been to the... Oh, that's so cool. You've been to the Vatican. That's nice. Yeah, the closest thing to the Vatican was the... Punk is a great guy. He sure is. Wow, see, I told you we were talking about you. Happy Turkey Day. You too, James. I'm going to try to get through the chat real quick. Wait, she got that... She got it. Aw. That sucks. But it's understandable, because I got to say, like, I know when you get, like, famous on the internet as a girl, or if you get a lot of followers, like... People simp real hard sometimes, and that can get fucking annoying, you know, and then they want to get up in your shit. So I respect it. I can understand it. Maybe she'll come out with an alter ego someday where she could disguise herself behind a voice modulator and still do her thing and express herself if that's something she wants to do. But yeah, I dig it. I totally understand how that might be like. Well, I can imagine what that would be like. I don't know if I can understand it or experience it. Maybe eventually I might experience it, but hopefully it ends up being more. Al Bundio, 46 degrees. Yes, that's 1 degree higher than my minimum horizon limit for imaging. Jump nodes function like warp points, which are naturally occurring in space. Oh yeah, and Babylon 5, they have jump gates. And the jump gates in Babylon 5 are cool because, like, what they do is, I'm going to drop a link to Floral Show right here. And I'm going to just do a little quick jump gate. So Babylon 5's jump space is a little bit different. When you go into jump space through, like, the vortex, whatever the heck they call it, you travel faster, or you travel at the same speed you normally would, but, like, when you exit jump space, you end up further along than you would be otherwise. And I think a blue gate is, like, when people are leaving, and when people are coming in. Or is it the other way? And I think this is an outgoing. You go into the wormhole, and this is when things are going to come out of the wormhole. So, yep, that's an outgoing. So the ship is coming out of the wormhole. So that's an outgoing jump gate. But essentially, in Babylon 5, there was an ancient race called the Old Ones that left these jump gates throughout space. And when we met our first aliens, when we had our first contact, first contact. They sort of, like, shared with us how to build these things, and the only thing that you need is a material or element called Quantium-40, and it's highly energetic, but once you have Quantium-40, you can use the jump gates to open up a gate, and then if you get high-level technology, your ship can create a jump gate. But the problem in Babylon 5 is that even if you can go into jump space, you really can't navigate too well unless you use the jump gates as beacons. So even when you're in jump space, you're using the jump gates that are outside of jump space to sort of help you navigate around. It's a bit like the Astronomicon from Warhammer 40k. And so it turns out late in Babylon 5 lore, there is a group called the Technomages who sort of use magic and technology, or they try to give the illusion of being magicians while using technology. And they do know how to travel off of the beacons. And I think that's kind of cool. But let's keep rolling. Happy Thanksgiving. Oh, hey, Peter Venkman's fansite. Good to see you. Happy Thanksgiving! Exclamation point. Loud voice. Am I supposed to yell when I read that? Because I know all caps means you're yelling. Face fuchsia tongue out. Ah, yes, that would be in the YouTube chat. I used to use the feature where I could show people the YouTube chat, but then I switched to this. I might switch back to the other method because it is nice when you can see all of the emojis. Or they start a puppet channel. Lost religion when I became an anime girl. Don't they have an anime called Bible Black? Doesn't that make people religious again? No, I'm kidding. But there's those people who are fucking annoying, like Matt Walsh, who are like super anti-anime because they think it's satanic. Even though half the anime I've looked at, even when they have like some weird satanic bullshit, the good guys are usually opposing the fucking demons. So it's like, you know, what's the deal? But then also they don't understand that like Japanese culture was sort of in a vacuum. You know what I mean? They weren't talking to the Israelis. They weren't talking to the Palestinians, whatever the fuck they were called back then. They were not going to the Sea of Galilee. You know, the Japanese were kind of hanging out over in the Pacific Ocean and shit. And maybe China or vice versa. Korea, I don't know, you know. But point is that, yeah, like, so I can empathize why the Chinese don't have the same notion of Christianity. Now there are Christians in Japan today, and they did have some persecution, and I can kind of empathize with the Japanese who persecuted them. It's like, you know, you got an outside influence trying to change shit up on you. And it's like, you know, it's kind of annoying when you let outside influences fuck up your country. So it's like, I could dig it, you know, although you could say that we provided things that helped them improve. And that's a whole other topic. But going into World War II, yeah, the Japanese, they liked us. They admired us. We were friends up to a certain point. They adopted a lot of our customs and, you know, entertainment, types of entertainment. But there was other things going on by that point, and there was some misunderstandings going into the right before the war that did not help matters. So basically, the main misunderstanding I read about was that we were willing to let the Japanese keep Manchuria, but they thought that we didn't want them to keep Manchuria. So that's one of the reasons why they were pushed to war. Like, they might have not have pushed so hard into Pearl Harbor if they were made explicitly aware that we were cool with them keeping Manchuria. But we, you know, obviously we wanted them out of China. We wanted them out of Shanghai Czech's turf. We wanted them out of, you know, Korea, South Indochina, Vietnam, I guess, South Vietnam, etc. It happens. Puberty makes everyone young, dumb, and full of. We know that. We all know that. Absolutely, right? All right, we're going to skip to the chat. I'm going to skip a bunch of shit. Being in love plus nookie makes everyone more. Yes, it really does, yo. Like, it's like a psychosis when you, when people get their first love sometimes. Not everyone, but like, it is something that like people, especially younger men who are more hot-blooded. And that's why some people say that men shouldn't even get married until their 30s because like they literally are just not fully rational until that point in their life. And some might beg to differ, but you know, it's an angle. Prison ministry is a important part of redeeming criminals to being productive and citizens of heaven. And even if the last part is subjective or whatever, it's like at the end of the day, you know, maybe in absence of other moral compasses, maybe this really helps them. And you know, I would just want people to know that they don't necessarily have to become religious. Like I would love to see more religious people who are flexible about people not being religious, but maybe like still having some kind of fellowship. That would be kind of cool. Like an agnostic or something. And religious person's fellowship. That could be interesting. That could be an interesting exercise in diplomacy. Clancy Brown, a.k.a. the Kurgan, a.k.a. the voice of Mr. Crap. Wow, you guys are saying a lot. I appreciate it. Okay, gang, I got a Bali and record. Have a kick-ass night. You too, Psycho Dwarf 9. Thanks for dropping by. I hung out with Psycho Dwarf 9 once, 2 years ago, 3 years ago? We had a great time. We drank beer and talked about random stuff. And he recommended an audiobook, and he gave me his number, and then I couldn't call him, and I was like, how do I get this guy? And then, like, I just never tried to call him again. But no, I'm kidding. But he's a cool cat. I can get him on the internet. Now, clearly he tunes into my channel, so I'm a happy camper. It's really hard to get through life without faith in anything at all. And that's the thing, like, I don't necessarily put faith in inanimate objects, but I understand that there's something bigger than me. It's sort of like when you have someone who's a heroin or opioid addict. At least the 12 steps people believe that you have to have a belief in a higher power. Maybe that's just something that works in the treatment plan. The 12 steps is a bit dubious because they don't believe in medication-assisted therapy. And there's just some people where they're way too prone to relapse unless they have methadone or something similar. And even though it's like, yes, they're still addicted to something, it's like, taking one dose of methadone or one dose of the what is it, Suboxone or buprenorphine is probably better than them going back to buying dope on the street. You know, it's better than them buying fentanyl because whenever you buy dope or fentanyl on the street, you don't know what you're getting. Like, it could have more fentanyl in it. It could have less fentanyl. It could be less effective. It could stop your ability to breathe in one shot or hit or whatever the fuck. But like medicated assisted therapy at least gets people in a stable situation where it's like they don't have to worry about the withdrawal symptoms, because it's the withdrawal symptoms that gets the opioid addict to go back to using even when they have every intention of quitting. And staving off those cravings with a medication that they only have to take once a day versus 5 times a day or however many times, it helps, but the 12 steps people are totally against it, and in a way they sort of cause more negative outcomes because of that. But the higher power thing, not all they don't necessarily believe that you have to believe in God, but 12 steps people just say something, whatever it is to you, a higher power, something bigger than yourself. So to me, that would be the universe. Like, I know that the time scales of the universe, the time scales of trees, nature, it almost makes me believe in God. It's like, because it's just like remarkable shit. Like the idea that trees can make decisions. I mean, they don't really make decisions, but they do react to their surroundings. They have like certain capabilities. Like, for example, if a tree dies next to a tree, or if a tree gets sick next to a tree, the neighboring trees can actually provide starches and sugars through the root system to keep that tree alive. And why would they do that? Well, basically, if that tree dies, the soil now gets hit with sunlight, it dries out, and it compromises the rest of the forest. So trees will prop up sick trees in order to prevent compromising the entire, that particular part of the ecosystem, so to speak. And maybe that does speak to an intelligent design, but I'm not willing to take natural selection off the table, because it checks out. The timescales are that long. But even with that, it's like, there are questions like, why the fuck am I sitting in a room right now with screens in front of me? Like, how the fuck did we go from caveman to people with all this plastic shit? Like, what is that? Like, it's like, just blows my mind sometimes, So I can see where, like, God could be like a way to just kind of cut the bullshit and just go straight to like, it is what it is, But I do find that interesting. Let's see here. So to speak, be slow to speak and respond with a soft answer. Is that a Bible passage or a suggestion? Honest question. I really don't know. Because I am speaking a little bit loud, and I apologize. I am speaking a little loud and maybe a little bit, tersely, harshly, whatever. And I sit close. I gotta work on sitting further away from my microphone. It's just one of these days I'll figure it out. Cancel button. Quick, cancel. What do you mean? Cancel what? I finally got the Punk Waddle's message. I've given it much thought, and friends and I learned the real wording of the commandments, or commandment, not as the world gives. Hey, what up, Punk Waddle? Finally got to your message. Hello, Punk Waddle. Happy Thanksgiving, Punk Waddle. Sure. Well, you saw evidence of that now, haven't you? We had a great time, hung out. Oh, I got a picture of Punk Waddle, what I drew. Let's see if I can find it. I drew a picture of Punk Waddle. I did. We're going to find it right now, because I'm proud of it. I'm so proud of it. Okay, let's open up the app. There it is. Okay, is my screen going to rotate? No, it's not going to rotate. That's all right. Okay, I'm proud of this picture I drew. So it's a picture of Punk Waddle and his wife, which is sometimes Mrs. Waddle or Sugar Waddle. And so they're on a gondola in Venice, Italy, as you can see. They're just penguins on a boat. And it's sort of like Miss Pac-Man. So, like, you got Punk Waddle here, but just like Miss Pac-Man, Mrs. Waddle has a bow on. See a pink bow? So I just thought, I just wanted to share that with you guys today. But getting back on topic. Oh, let's close the picture. I don't want to accidentally scribble on it. Oh, I got a new USB hub, but we don't really need to look at the USB hub. I just thought I'd mention it. Okay. Hey, what up, Slim Nim? I see ya. I'm going to skim through the chat real quick. Oh, man, this camera's blocking my screen. Not believing God takes more faith. And I think, like, it's not that I don't believe in God. I just don't. I'm not married to the notion, I guess. Well, I don't know. I don't know. It's like, I literally don't know either way. I don't know if there is a God. I don't know if there's not a God. And this is where I'm getting at. Okay, good. Now's the opportunity to get to the point I was trying to get. So, basically, like aliens. Okay, so what if aliens don't look anything like us? Because that's sort of like, by definition, alien is something that we can't relate to, something alien to our existence, alien to what we are familiar with, right? And maybe there's a life form out there, like where it looks like a cloud of electrically charged gas. And there was a Star Trek episode like this, but that being besides the point, a cloud of electrically charged gas where you could be standing in the middle of it and you wouldn't even know that you were surrounded by intelligent life. So I'm kind of this suspicion that, or at least I'm open to the possibility that intelligent life might take so many forms that we wouldn't even recognize as life, at least not immediately, without knowing what to look for. And maybe God's like that. Maybe God or some omnipotent being is this giant cloud of energy the size of a galaxy that can shoot electrical impulses across the galaxy. And maybe there's some other beings out there that are not God, but are like on some large scale where like it takes them 100 years to live 1 minute, so to speak. So like 1 minute for me, or like what I would perceive to be 1 minute to this alien life form might take 100-hour years. Sort of like they have the term in some sci-fi book. It's called frame jacking. And in the book, the Bobiverse series, We Are Bob, We Are Legion. In the Bobiverse series, which is by Dennis E. Taylor, there's a point where you have these AIs of copies of one guy's brain communicating with each other across great distances. But as they spread across greater distances, the light lag is so significant that it takes many minutes or however longer for messages to go from guy A to guy B. So what they start doing is they start slowing them down, almost like slowing down the clock frequency of a CPU, so that like if it takes 10 minutes for a message to come from here to there, it'll feel like 1 minute from inside from their perspective, because they slow themselves down enough to be able to tolerate that. And so it's a way of working around that cosmic speed limit, because radio waves and light are bound to that. Now, of course, if we could have faster than light communication, that would be nice. But that's one of those things that is sort of like a MacGuffin in sci-fi. In Star Trek and Star Wars, the MacGuffin would be inertial dampers and artificial gravity. Because like these are two things that like solve a lot of problems, but these are also two things that we don't really have any way of doing. There are some experiments that sort of belie that we can manipulate the fabric of space. Like they have this experiment where they take two strong magnets and put them really close to each other, like a millimeter apart. And a soft magnetic field, it doesn't have to be a strong magnetic field, but a magnetic field causes, like let's say this is a 1 millimeter gap, exaggerated. They're able to apply the magnetic field and they're able to measure, instead of this being 1 millimeter, maybe the distance is a fraction of a millimeter smaller. And whatever's going on, they're doing something with magnetic fields that's doing something to the fabric of space. And they know that these two little surfaces are rigidly mounted. They're not moving, nothing is bending, but yet they're getting this measurable tightening of the gap there. So something like that might eventually lead to some kind of warp drive or some kind of, technology that can bend space-time or something cool like that. Ayn Rand, AA. Murder of a fetus is just as bad as murder of the enemy in my book if you're doing it for the dollars. Indeed. Titch changed his name. Yes, he did. He's now a new name. Who changed his name? It's me, lol. Tits and ray guns. I love it. Floor loss. Is that like a woman floral? Awesome one. I think the Big Bang is faulty. It appears there have been multiple smaller bangs. It's not clear, despite the newest satellite cost $10 million daily. I don't think it costs $10 million a day to run newest satellites or individual satellite. There's no way it costs $10 million a day to run. I'm sorry. Like, I'd have to see the budget. Maybe I stand corrected on that, but I'd have to look into that. Waddle is like a penguin. Yep, there you go. And Snowdub is like a penguin fused with Snowdub. Sort of like Tuvix on Voyager. Well, he did say he tried to find the most feminine name. I ace science and mathematics. I do have a conflict. I'm not the almighty. Hey, what up, Third Four Second? We got Third Four the Second. One of these days, I got to try to get him on my show. Flores means flowers in Espanol, if anyone was curious. So Mr. Flowers is another way of saying Mr. Flores. Your mom likes Pineapple pizza. DJ screams loudly. Ah! I don't even know if Matt Walsh even believes all of that. Probably not. That's another thing. Like when it comes to these demagogues, I remember I used to watch, like in '09, I used to watch Glenn Beck. And this guy was notorious for like taking Vicks vapor rub and putting it in the corners of his eyes to emulate crying. And there's actually some like footage where somebody who worked behind, the scenes in the staff at Fox News filmed him putting the fucking, or filmed the production assistant, whatever it was, putting the vapor rub in his eyes. Because he used to do this thing where he'd look into the camera and he'd be like giving some speech. He'd be like, what is it with people today? Can you believe they don't agree with this? And then he'd start getting teary-eyed or his eyes would turn watery. And it was like, yeah, vapor rub. So that shit was kind of funny. I don't even know. Yeah, so correct. I agree, Punk Waddle. At least I'm more open-minded to that possibility because it is a bit foolish what Matt Walsh says. That's what it was. The Bible of Black. Was it Bible of Black or the anime Bible Black? You got to watch it all. And usually it's funking Dragon Ball Z, which seems like the songs that never ends. Yeah, true. It's just Edel. Christianity is still shunned in Japan culturally. Good for them. They deserve to keep their own culture. I mean, I do hope that they respect and are tolerant of people who choose to embrace Christianity, but I also respect any culture that retains their own, distinct cultural identity, because the Japanese, they do have a unique culture, and I'd hate to see it go. Buddhism and Christianity are compatible with each other, the Eightfold Path. That's cool. Right thinking, right actions. And that's true. There's a lot of people who just kind of stray away from Christianity, but they go for Buddhism. For Buddhism, the goal is self-mastery for self-improvement, as many religions. It is my opinion. I don't believe in a higher power, but I'm open to the idea of an existence beyond ours. And that's the thing. So it's like, it's like, yeah, I mean, I could buy that, and I don't know if that higher power cares whether or not I sin. I mean, maybe that higher power might be like, you're an asshole, but like if I did something stupid, maybe there'd be like some sentient creature that is some shit out in space, and they see me doing some shit, and they're just like, that's nasty, bro. But beyond that, I don't think they'd be inclined to punish me. Now, maybe if humanity becomes a Type 2 civilization or Type 3, and we start blowing up entire stars or galaxies, then maybe there'd be someone in the universe who has something to say about that. You obviously haven't seen what happens at a fentanyl clinic. I can imagine. But I mean, no, I don't doubt. See, the problem with fentanyl clinic or methadone clinic. But yeah, I don't doubt. I've heard some shit. Seen some shit too, but I've heard some shit. You got it off quickly. Yeah, true. Methadone is really hard, and buprenorphine, Suboxone are hard to taper off from. And there is a process, but some places don't want to do it. They make money off of the prescription, and they also kind of are the type of doctors who understand that most of their patients are too stupid to do the right thing, or maybe they just know that being a doctor, as long as the patient's on the medicated assisted therapy, they're gonna stand a straight and narrow. But once you take them down to a low dose and they have any complications, they're more likely to relapse, and then it makes that doctor's job harder or increase the statistical rate of death. And unfortunately, unlike Europe, so in Europe they do have certain medications that come in smaller doses, whereas in the US, the smallest dose for buprenorphine isn't quite as small as the smallest dose of buprenorphine that you can get in Europe. And so they're able to administer small doses out of the starting gate, whereas in the US, they're already starting people off on a dose that is up there. And that contributes to the, inability for people to get off over here. And it probably is somewhat intentional, knowing how the pharmaceutical companies operate. Methadone clinic to someone who has fentanyl. Ah, yes. I was part of the deconstruction group who wasn't sure about God. They started a godless church. Guess what? It crashed hard. Turns out without a focus on Jesus, they didn't have a reason to be together. Well, yeah, I mean, look, they might as well just call it a fucking recreation club. They might have lasted longer. I'm an expert in the field. I have my name in New York City for being a founding member of a meeting. Unfortunately, the club has closed. Oh, it's cool. I was good friends with a lesbian Wisconsin. Wait, Wiccan. I said Wisconsin, from Wisconsin, person from the state of Wisconsin. Anyway, and an obese Satanist. Yeah, dude, I was watching this video. So I saw this shit where it seemed like a funny troll move at first. There was like in some state capital in the state legislature of, Chicago or some other state, Illinois. The atheists kind of came up and they said they wanted to put the Baphomet statue up, the satanic goat. Because they're like, if you're going to have the 10 Commandments in the halls of the state Congress or the state assembly building, then you have to have other religious symbols. And on one angle, I appreciate the troll move, but on the other hand, if you're just an atheist doing it to be a dick, that's kind of fucking lame. But then I was watching a video of the people, and you had the Christians on one side of the state legislature, and you had the atheist, Wiccans, and the others all on the other side. And it's like, well, wait, I'm okay with like people having alliances, but it's kind of weird, like, what I don't do, wouldn't Wiccans be somewhat antithetical to atheism? I'm kind of confused here, But the point is that half of those people were freak show. Half of them looked reasonable, but half of them had the combination of like not just obesity. It's one thing to be obese or fat or whatever, but I had like non-flattering outfits. Like when someone wears a small dress when they clearly should wear something with a little bit more room, a little more bagginess, and when someone wears like a small t-shirt when they're clearly an XL, and it's like, you might get away with a medium or a large, but you're not going to get away with wearing a small, It's like one of those, like, you ain't fooling anybody with that midriff showing there, but yeah, just some wildness there. I miss them. They moved on, so have I. What up, Slim? Good to see Slim Nim. I'm going to skim through this. Buddhism doesn't hold to any god but a force, yes, nature and all of that, like Star Wars. They use the force. They got that from Buddhism. And I believe all will be saved in billions of years. But Jesus has said he was the way to the Father. And that's the thing, though. It's like if I was born in, what's that place? Tibet or something. How am I supposed to know Jesus is the guy? What, because a missionary showed up? It's like, why am I supposed to believe another human being? So I think God probably understands that you can't hold people responsible for, believing a missionary, because people are corruptible and institutions are corruptible and people got to live their lives, and having someone showing up and telling you to change your way of life when what you do already works can be kind of annoying. So I think it's like people who are receptive should be given it, but doing things in the name of saving people's souls isn't always helpful. I mean, it's like the Spanish Armada. It was interesting though, because from a historical point of view, whether you like Columbus or not, his expedition to the New World changed, the Western civilization forever. So it's like, you don't have to like the guy to acknowledge that it did change Western civilization. It changed everything. I mean, it changed things for better and for worse, but I would say better because I'm here. So yeah, that might be a little biased. I do believe in cliffs. Internet, space, gas. Cliffs are tangible objects. So yeah. And I think I could see a cliff, I could walk up to one, I could poke a cliff. Now, how did the cliff come to be? That might be another story. Someone might say it's due to erosion. Someone might say it's due to a giant lightning strike. That's sort of like what electric universe people are at. They're kind of I think mostly wrong. But hey, maybe they got something that the conventional model of the universe is missing, and they can help fill in some blanks, maybe. Don't step off. It's dangerous. All right, let's get right down here. When you activate a switch, do you have faith in light? Light will illuminate? No, I don't have to have faith because I can measure that. I can, measure the electrons. I mean, we can see lightning. We know Ben Franklin flew a kite and got electrocuted. So that's right. We can do that. We can sort of emulate what the clouds do to produce the static discharge that creates lightning. Yeah, so that doesn't require faith. Such as seeing your life flash before your eyes. Oh, yeah. That's some wild shit. Sometimes that has a change on people. Sometimes people who are complete non-believers become believers overnight from some kind of near-death experience. And I do believe that it could be some weird quirk of neurological shit that we don't understand. But who knows? Maybe that's evidence of something more. So even a godless has belief in the power of electricity. Well, there's nothing to believe. Like I said, there's nothing to believe. I mean, actually, I stand corrected because I don't stand completely corrected, but it's sort of like when you get 5 flat earthers and 5 globers into the same room. most of them are working off of faith. Like they don't really know. Like this is what we discussed on L's stream on Sunday. We talked about, like what I thought about flat earthers. We talked about what evidence I'm able to bring to bear, and I talked about, for example, how in order to utilize my telescope the way I use it, I have to perform polar alignment on the astronomical mount. And basically, there's no way for polar alignment to make sense or work on a flat Earth. It just doesn't work. And it doesn't take faith to believe the Earth is round. It's like you can measure the time it takes for the stars to go from this side of the sky to the other side and to come back around the night each night. You can basically anticipate where things are going to be. Things get, in simulations, and you run those simulations, and we can do that in Space Engine or Stellarium. So, that part doesn't require faith, but people who didn't study it, yeah, they're working off of faith. And sometimes those people, are working off faith in the absence of knowledge. And if there is a higher being or God, as, you know it, or anyone else knows it, then yeah, I mean, we'd be working off of faith, but perhaps some people have more knowledge than others. Anyway, I don't even know. I'm a little underqualified to talk about that aspect. Let's keep rolling. Electricity also took faith when it was first discovered. Yeah, kind of. I mean, some people did the research. The average person had to have faith. The scientists, they kind of guessing how it worked, right? Like they sort of tried to liken it to water pipes and all of that crap. It took so long to get the pure gold mirrors. Having faith means you trust someone's word or title. Ah, I see. I still haven't seen Punk Waddle cry. Face pink tears. Ah, yeah, the YouTube teary face. Hey, what up, Chaos? I see Chaos in the chat. Do I have working tear ducts? I don't know. Do you? I feel like you might, because, you got to go swimming. Did you know turtles, they have tear ducts that emit a lot of tears, and sometimes butterflies drink water out of their tears. It also gives the butterflies some salt to help them get electrolytes. Oh, wait, I don't waddle that way. Bible Black is a direct reference to the Black Bible. They cover this more in the visual novel. Fascinating. Venkman fan site's like, oh shit, I might have lost my anime creds. Don't worry, you still have your otaku creds, Peter Venkman fan site. Does your pee turn into ice cubes? Oh, I thought you were asking me. Sounds like a medical condition. The hentai anime actually does use legitimate witchcraft references. Ah, I see. I did not know that. Aliens are a real fact. Just ask the Hindi. That is, so, okay, last thing I believe in that is out there. I don't really believe in it, but I'm open-minded to Bigfoot. And I'm not really sold on the idea, but we're just going to pull up a link, and I'm going to wrap this up because I do want to move along and chill out. Lloyd Pye, everything you believe is wrong. So I'm not saying, like this guy, I think he was dead wrong about the so-called Star Child skull. But this presentation at least got me thinking about Bigfoot. Now, he may be wrong about a lot of shit. He may be wrong about all of it. I don't really know. It's a really low-quality video, as you can see. But this guy, may he rest in peace, he gives this presentation. Now, this is a fake picture of Bigfoot, by the way. But he talks about the Minnesota Iceman, and basically, like, this guy shot a Bigfoot-like creature, puts it in a freezer chest, and he takes it to shopping malls. And there was just certain things about it, like there was like swirls of blood in the ice and things. And unfortunately, the evidence is gone now. But it was like his argument is that if the guy just shoved it in the face of scientists, maybe they would have had a real specimen. But what he would do is he would take it to the shopping mall and just like charge money for people to view the creature that he supposedly caught. And the thing is that when people get footprints of Bigfoot, there's just certain things that like kind of like, I don't know, just, watch it if you're interested. Like I said, the video up here in the top right corner, I think that he was like either fooled by a hoax or he was fooled by a baby with a microcephalic skull. I don't think that's an alien skull. But it was compelling because you got basically why I bring up Bigfoot real quick is because you go back to Indian, Native American lore, Indian lore. You go back to anywhere in the world, including Russia, for example, in the deep Siberian tundra. And they have different versions of Bigfoot-like creatures. So, in the Pacific Northwest, Washington State, southern Alaska, bottom of Canada, they have Sasquatch. And the Native Americans have tons of lore about it. And there's stories of even people in loggers who have experienced some weird shit. in Russia or Siberia, you got the Alma. It's sort of like Bigfoot, but not as tall, and supposedly has a squeaky tone or a squeaky voice. The abominable snowman, the Yeti, is potentially a creature that lives in the mountains, and the only time people see it is when it's crossing through the valleys. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. But there are stories around the world that have this resemblance in creatures. Maybe these are people just misinterpreting primates. Maybe they're seeing like gorillas or something. They're just misinterpreting them as, Bigfoot, Sasquatches, etc. But that would be probably the most like unprovable thing that requires more faith than science right now to even be open to. Because basically last thing we're going to show you is HD version Patterson Bigfoot video. I think there's an upscaled version of this. So I want you to take a close look at Bigfoot right here. She has boobs. I'm not even kidding. Look at her tits. I'm not even freaking kidding. Okay, so first of all, the guy's argument was that the muscle is moving in the butt. But right there, that's a tit. That's a tit. Like, look at that. Let's slow motion that. And those tits are jiggling too. Now, of course, you could use silicone to do that. I forgot. I missed that one tit. Well, let's try to get that tit again. I want to get this angle right there. See, like, that's a boob. So it's like, if it's just a suit, who would make a freaking Monkey Man suit and then add big-ass boobs to it? Like, so I don't know. I'm not saying that's a compelling reason to believe in Bigfoot. It just, like, it makes me wonder. That's all I'm saying. So, like, stay tuned, I guess. I've been kind of like keeping an open mind on this for like about 8 years now, 5 years maybe. I'm not really sold on it, but it's like at the end of the day, wouldn't you see more sightings? And this is where like I stop having faith in this concept. Is like anytime I see videos that are more recent on high definition, high resolution sensors, it's like you never get a clear picture of the fucking thing. So it's like, yeah, that kind of doesn't bode well for the existence of these creatures. But maybe we'll be wrong. Maybe Bigfoot is a hominid that is better adapted to live outside than we are, because they're furry and they got large feet and all of that, and their legs and knees don't lock like ours. Made to walk long distances, survive outside, great muscles so they could really hunt or tear down a tree trunk if they wanted to. Type 2, maybe. Type 3 seems like a long shot. Type 1, yeah. In fact, we are type 1. So anyone who strongly believes in climate change, I'm not saying that I don't believe in climate change, just that I think a lot of the solutions to climate change are kind of bullshit solutions that don't even solve the issue, the stated issue, I should say. And I do think that a lot of the climate science people were like, they're unwilling to address like things like standard deviation on a graph, and like the fact that like they often seem to look to temperatures in the 50s as being ideal. So it's like, is the implication that we had the perfect climate in the 1950s? Because we sure as shit did not have temperature records beyond 150, 200 years. We don't have hurricane records before the beginning of the 20th century. And before that, it was just a big storm. Nobody knew what a hurricane looked like until we flew above it, basically, or saw it from the side at least. I know about ice core samples. I understand how those work, but that doesn't necessarily give you like granular temperature data around the whole globe. It gives you some clues about atmospheric composition, but I do see a lot of leaps going on, and I do find the climate people to be a bit annoying sometimes, because like they expect people to just buy it, and it's like, especially the solution. Once again, it's like, I don't care if people believe in one thing or not. But when you start expecting people to like, change their living habits, you tell them to stop using air conditioning and to make a smaller carbon footprint. I practically try to boycott any company that makes a big deal about carbon footprints. The only times I don't is when I see the company is pandering. I'm actually okay with corporations pandering as long as they don't actually push the climate change thing. Like if they're just pandering to help their bottom line and to sort of like fake out the climate change crowd, I'm okay with that. I'm like, good. Take their money, like Tesla. Let all those people give you money for this stupid electric car. Good. If they are willing to give up their money, beautiful. It's better that they don't keep their money, apparently, right? I don't know, but I digress. If you make me laugh hard enough, I might cry. All right, I guess we could try that. All right, are we getting to the bottom of the chat yet? Do I have to skip chat? I'm not sure Gundam UC is type 2 yet either. No, they're not type 2. But yeah, what I was saying was that if we know exactly how to influence our atmosphere, because basically the energy of the Earth really mostly relates to the atmosphere and the forces in there and the way air currents move. If we can directly manipulate that and we know exactly what inputs to put into it to get a certain output or whatever, then that might put us on as a type 1. The problem is that right now we don't directly control it and we're not certain about certain aspects of the climate change narrative. And so we're not necessarily type 1, but then they shouldn't act like they're so damn sure about it, because it's like, okay, you got a graph from the Industrial Revolution. Okay, we emitted more carbon back then, but we certainly weren't at the scale we are today. And yes, in London, the smoke would be black, but yeah, that would be like particulate matter from burning coal. And yes, that's bad for your health. But that doesn't necessarily have a temperature impact on the same scale as a volcano. Of course, then you hear the excuse that, oh, volcanoes don't happen that often. Undersea volcanoes are allegedly accounted for, but they're not. It's just, I don't know. I rarely get satisfactory answers to certain questions, and maybe I don't understand enough, but I've been trying to, like, you know, play devil's advocate. I go on the climate change Reddit page. I play nice. I listen. I exchange ideas, and I just see a lot of people who are scared because they were fear-mongered into, like, being concerned about rising sea levels in various areas of the world, as if it's the implication that it was definitely caused by industrialization. And I don't know if I don't think that it's fair to, you know, blame people for not believing it's not a certainty, at least not yet. Is the chat? Yeah, it is. I'm going to just skip a bunch of chat real quick. All right, we're going to the bottom. I see a long message from James. The water pipe analogy is quite good. Actually, it's both dynamics and, yeah, fluid dynamics and electrons in a wire more close to the speed of light, 3 by 10 meters per second, did it? Okay. When you are ready, someone could use RAID for a morale boost. Yeah, give me the link or give me the name. I'll do it. Bigfoot, more like big boobs. I always want to send people to Anime Night 1992. I did say that at the beginning of the stream, but if you got someone else cool, I might do that. Also, my dad, I think Aris 218 is on. Is a retired journeyman electrician from General Motors, figured out the Bose 901 trick. Wire it like a true AC circuit. Works, but you ruin the drivers pushed into distortion. Lime challenge. Oh, good. I'm finally at the bottom of the chat. Hey, what up, Salty? We are in an interglacial period, and that's another factor. It's like, yeah, so you got an ice age. You come out of the ice age. That's going to cause the graph to tick up. Have a good night, LCX. Thanks for tuning in. It was good having you. And thank you for giving me those great questions on your show on Sunday. And I don't know if I'm that far behind, but I appreciate you having you tonight. Yep, I'm way behind on that message. Okay, that's all right. I'll leave a comment or say something on her chat when she does the stream. And yes, LCX does stream on weekdays. I don't know if L is streaming tomorrow, but probably is. We'll grab a link. All right, let's wrap this up here. No, you can get, you can't, you know, you can get a constant, wait, no, you can get a constant with the ice cores, or you can't get a constant with the ice cores. Yeah, you can't get a constant temperature with ice cores. Look it up, the Dark Ice Age. The Dark Age Ice Age. I will. Climate shit is only about more taxes. Yes, a big part of it is taxes and population reduction. I'm starting to boycott all of these soap companies that need to add 15 different kinds of oils. Yes, dude, I fucking get weird reactions to Dove. Put a little love in, put a little love, put in your tummy. I cannot even vaguely have a serious conversation about climate change with anyone saying climate change. I know, it's like I roll my eyes just, like my brother was mentioning, like him and his wife moved out of Brooklyn because of climate change and the flooding, and it's just like I roll my eyes. I'm like, dude, I know you got to say that shit because your wife believes it, but come on. Yeah, all the ingredients, but don't do anything. I cannot have even a vaguely serious conversation with anyone saying, yep, did I read that? Okay, I got to get to the bottom. Slim, give me that link. Is that the link? Got it. Thank you. Thank you very much, awesome one. That's LCX's channel. All right, so we got Alkin Slice. We should definitely drop in there. But if you end up being bored by that channel, keep the chat window in pop-out mode open so that I can give you Anime Night 1992. So we got 2 channels you can raid. I'm going to both of them for starters. But yes, go to. So I'm gonna just type him in right now. So he's gonna do a 15-hour game stream, Anime Night 1992, and then the link that Slim dropped was Alkin Slice. And I would ask you to raid either one of them, but probably the latter because they're a friend of Slim and they're a good person, I'm sure. But if you do happen to, you know, get an opportunity, you got the other one. So with that being said, I think I'm going to wrap it up before I get down too much of a rabbit hole. Dove is a beauty bar. Can't even call it soap. Oh, that's a good point. Just use Dr. Borona's. Is that like a dirty joke? No, I'm kidding. I'm going to copy that. Oh, cool. It's a soap. Thank you. RFK will make Punk Waddle healthy again. MPW Mpwa. Make Punk Waddle healthy. Mpwa. Make Punk Waddle healthy again. So, you see, I told you I figured out what caused my computer to crash the other night. It's not crashing right now, is it? So, anyway, I'd like to go to bed. No, I'm not going to bed. I'm going to be up late until probably 3, 4, maybe 5 a.m. But, yeah. So, anyway, I do want to thank everybody for tuning in. It was great having Elle here. I appreciate Elle asking me those questions on her live stream on Sunday. And I also appreciate having the opportunity to, you know, to follow up on the question that I didn't get to answer about the God question. So I thank you all very much for your answers. I hope I didn't offend anyone or say anything overly dismissive. I might have said 1 or 2 dismissive things, but I promise you I didn't mean to, you know, harm, you know, insult or, you know, denigrate or anything like that. But if I did, hit me up on a DM or a comment, talk it out, you know. But that being said, I'm pretty sure most of you guys have a pretty thick skin. And I think you guys trust in the fact that nobody here is here to harm anybody or hurt anyone's emotions, feelings, etc. So with that being said, once again, Salty, it was great to see Salty, especially Salty. He's like the best person here, yo. He's got like the coolest editing skills, yo. Just check out his fucking Charlie Brown video, man. It's good. We're getting into the holidays, so I'll share a link to that next week. Punk Waddle, I use Dr. Boner's bar soap. It's really hard. I'm sorry, I can't. I got it. My mind's in the gutter, yo. I'm so sorry. I'll read that correctly. That's all I use. Bronner's bar soap, peppermint, and I'll make my own laundry detergent with that, and borax. Ooh, borax and washing soda. Total game changer. It's true because if you get hit with radiation, you can use borax to help absorb and clean off the radiation. So it's a win-win. I saw it in a U.S. Air Force video from like the 60s. So it's probably true. Eat turkey and keep soaring on the wings of liberty. Oh man, I need a video of an eagle now. We're going to get a video of an eagle at some point. There's a hit out on DJ. Did my stream just cut out? Did my stream just abruptly end? Did I just get blown into an airlock? Ah! So we're going to end it now. So I want to thank you all for tuning in. You have a wonderful evening. If anyone has any questions, how do I do this? If anyone has any questions, comments, ideas, or concerns, please leave a comment. And for now, we shall get blown into